Sport. AFL.
Get set for the deafening roar. The pent-up emotion is about to flow.
Listen to the crowd roar.
AFL.
Fans are on their feet. Can't believe what they're about to see.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
We've got a game on our hands here. This is really good, fierce stuff.
This is a fantastic game of football.
Someone told me there was something wrong with our game. I can't see it today. Actually, it's a spectacular contest.
Dreamers, keep on dreaming.
Oh, the impossible angle!
Sinners, keep on sinning.
Don't go anywhere. The theatre of it all.
Winners, keep on winning.
And he dribbles one through and blows a kiss to the crowd.
Just a new day beginning.
Breaks the paint. Has a shot. Makes no mistake.
Sends it to home. A sublime strike.
Hard against the boundary. That's a classy finish.
That is sensational. Can he slide it through for the finish? Yes, he can.
Wide angle on the paint of 50. May have just snuffed through an incredible goal. Tries the fend off. Got him. Takes him to ground. Back to Nui. Second, don't argue.
Go to your best players. Go to your match winners.
Plays on man down from behind. Holding the ball.
Perfect tackle.
It might be a game saver.
Dreamers, keep on dreaming.
Ricochets to Martin. You know the rest. The razzle dazzle has arrived.
That is spectacular.
It's a new day, new day, new day beginning.
Ogden kicks the goal. Welcome to the big time.
Oh, great mark.
Outside of the boot, Eddie. Oh, he has kicked it. Makes no mistake. Goes back.
Straightens up towards goal and brings it back superbly. There's that familiar roar. Double fist salute to the crowd. They might have a new fan favourite. He'll snap. He'll go. A ripper from Gripper. Snaps off a single step and bangs it through.
Grandstand AFL.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season.
Dribbles it through and ends the game.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Events of a couple of nights ago have presented a giant opportunity for Greater Western Sydney at the MCG. Beat Hawthorn this afternoon and Leon Cameron's side replaces reigning Premier Richmond in the AFL's top 8. It's as simple as that, the equation for the Giants against the Hawks at the MCG. No late change for either side today. Lockie Ash is the medical sub for the home team, GWS, which is a bit odd. But given the COVID situation in New South Wales, a home game for the Giants at the MCG where they don't get to play too often. Sean Burgoyne is the medical sub for Hawthorn. So tick-off game 399, and that sets up a mouth-watering prospect when he's due to play his 400th next Saturday night at the Docklands against his former club, Port Adelaide. Alistair Nicholson to call the action for you. A sparkling day at the MCG. It really is a beautiful winter's day, not a cloud in the sky. Temperature in the low to mid-teens, and alongside me is Joel Peterson. G'day, Joel.
G'day, Al. Good to be alongside you. You wouldn't have picked that the Giants could potentially go into the 8 at this stage of the season when they started the year zipping 3, and they looked like they had a few worries. They had injuries aplenty. They fought their way back well, Leon Cameron's side. Interested to see what they can serve up today. As you said, a rare home game for them. And the Hawks, they've mixed their form in the past few weeks, so a big challenge for them today against a side that they wouldn't have been favoured against if it was in Sydney. Get a chance on what is nominally their home deck to maybe try and take a little bit of a scalp.
We've got the perfect expert for you this afternoon. He's a member of the ladder-leading Demons lineup, but a former Giant, unfortunately out injured at the moment with the knee. Adam Tomlinson, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm pretty excited for this game. It's going to be a great one, and as we said before, it'll be really interesting to see if the Giants win and go into the 8, considering how they've started the year and how far they've come.
And lots of your former teammates, former mates out there playing today, and you've already bumped into the mother of one of the Giants players today.
Yes, I ran into Kate Green, and she told me to give her a shout out, so there you go, Kate. But no, it's been good to have all the boys back in town for 10 or so days with everything that's going on up north. But I think as everyone in the AFL has learnt to sort of deal with what happens, it shouldn't be a distraction. If not, it might benefit them. So it'll be a very good game.
Now, Adam Tomlinson grew up barracking for Collingwood, which means he's in for an enjoyable afternoon next to Collingwood's last premiership coach. He coached a couple at West Coast as well. Mick Malthouse, good afternoon to you.
G'day, Al, Joel and Adam. Looking forward to this game, but I'm also looking forward to Adam's commentary because there's nothing better than having a former player at a club analyse what's happening in front of him. And I'm going to ask him one question. I know that you probably, Adam, watching the game quite often, watch the Giants play. They seem to me to be playing a lot different than when Cameron's in front of goal. Do you reckon that they're now not so centric to him and starting to spread the load a little bit, and also seem to be able to get the ball in there much quicker than what they did before?
Yeah, definitely. I hope they don't go too green-centric, which they can, but you're right, the load's been spread over a lot of them. Jeremy Finlayson's kicking goals. Brent Daniels comes back into the side as well, and he's able to bob up and kick a few goals. And I think for the Giants, it's always been speed on the ball has been great for them to get the ball inside 50. When they get held up and have to sort of find a different route to get inside 50 is when they can get held up. So speed on the ball. When you've got Whitfield, who's a great kick and runner. He doesn't just kick the ball 40. He runs 15, kicks it 30, gets it back, and then kicks it 40 again. He's a great player to watch and an extremely hard worker.
I was looking for, if I've got time there, Al, I was looking for Tom Green, but he's out of the side.
Yeah, he's been omitted.
That's really strange because he's been in, to me, looked like he'd been in reasonable form. He's such a big bodied against reasonably big bodied mids at Hawthorn. Another surprise is Burgoyne as the sub, which is, and now as we spoke off air, it's just to nurse him through to get that magical 400, which is fantastic for him to be able to get there. Let's hope he's not on too early, but I'd love to see him actually play a game. I think that's to me it's a little bit of the 23rd player. If he doesn't play, he shouldn't get a game. Shouldn't get registered in my book. But anyway, let's hope he gets on late, and the player who he replaces is not overly injured. But getting back to what you said, El, this game means so much to the Giants, and unfortunately, I think people who pick the Giants always pick them with trepidation because you don't know what's going to be served up too often. Fair to say, Adam?
Yeah, and I think it comes back to the leaders. The 5 or 6 main leaders of the group have got to get the players to start well, and if they start well, they can run away with momentum. But if you let Hawks get the run on early, it can be really hard to fight that. And we saw the Hawks last week actually put up a really good sort of wall against Essendon. And,
they did.
Yeah.
Just one other question to you. De Boer, who does he go to?
Well,
you have to go to Mitchell, wouldn't
he? Has to go to Mitchell. And I think the other one, Sam Reid will go to Bruce.
Yeah, okay.
Been a consistent goal kicker for so long. Over 400 goals, Luke Bruce, one of the best small forwards we've seen in the last decade or so. He started his career, Luke Bruce, a year before the Giants came into the competition. It is a lovely afternoon for football at the MCG and basking in it all. As much as it looks a little shady down there on the members' side of the ground and the beanie's on. Good afternoon, Jess Webster.
Good afternoon, Al. Yes, I am in the shade and wearing the beanie. It does get a bit chilly if that sun isn't shining on you, but it's an absolutely picture-perfect day. It's stunning down here, about 16 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. Unfortunately, there's not a big crowd here to actually experience it, so the top tier is obviously blocked from any patrons, and the rest of the crowd is spread across the remaining tiers and sections, which probably exaggerates the emptiness, but nevertheless, it should be a great contest and looking forward to watching it unfold from ground level, Al.
Thank you, Jess. So the Giants, who had to get out of Sydney and they got out just in the nick of time, were expecting to spend a couple of weeks out of Sydney, and with the COVID situation there worsening, it remains to be seen for just how long the Giants will be on the road. But this is a home game for the Giants at the MCG, a ground where they have won 3 of their past 5 matches, including their only appearance here in round 4. They defeated Collingwood by 30 points and Toby Green kicked 5. Now, Darwin has also gone into COVID lockdown, a snap lockdown in the Northern Territory after 4 coronavirus cases were confirmed. So Darwin, Palmerston and Litchfield going into a 48-hour lockdown. Listeners in the Northern Territory, in 20 minutes' time you'll be departing for the latest COVID news, and every hour you'll leave the football to get the latest COVID information, so you can expect that across the course of the day. In WA as well, we'll be getting information throughout the day. Alistair Nicholson and Joel Peterson to call the action for you today.
Al, can I just pop in there? Interesting that Ward is off the ground, starting off the ground, which is really strange as
and De Boer's gone to the wing as well.
Here's Joel Peterson on Grandstand AFL as the Giants look to go into the AFL's top 8.
Kieran Briggs and John Segler in ruck for their two respective sides. They clatter into each other. The ball's brought to ground. It's ripped away by Hopper for the Giants. Kicks to the city end to start us off. Himmelberg takes it on the edge of the 50. Handball to Finlayson, left it behind. The tackle on Giath, who goes inside the defensive 50 for the Hawks. He's brought down. And we'll have a ball up 45 metres out from the Giants' goal. Ben McAvoy winning the toss and electing to kick to the punt road end to start us off. Flynn knocks it down, this time in ruck for the Giants. Wingard lays a tackle, brings Hopper to the turf. Still just inside the arc for the home side. The nominal visitors, but hosting today, GWS. We have another ball up as Shields pounces on this one. He's taken the tackle by Whitfield, and we'll do it all again. Still just inside the arc for the Giants.
Up it goes. Top of the 50. Whitfield takes possession, a holding on free kick though, and it is going the Giants' way. Hopper to take it. At right half forward, he kicks to full forward. He goes in the Himmelberg direction. Was he held? No free kick. Punched away. Jath soccers out of defence. But in the road for the Giants, Cummings sends it back inside the 50. Hardwick takes the defensive mark for Hawthorn, top of the goal square. Goes short to the back pocket, finds Scrimshaw.
Good mark, that. Well read against a really dangerous player.
Scrimshaw short to Newcomb. Third game for the mid-season draftee. Hawthorn colours an awful kick off the toe. Went straight onto the chest of Nick Haynes, who couldn't believe his luck as he marked it at right half forward for the Giants. Sends them back to full forward. Himmelberg in front. Finlayson a rise. Couldn't take it. Off hands Toby Green. Tumbles one to the goal line, but it's taken by Howe for the Hawks, who measures the kick into the right back pocket. Finds Dylan Moore.
Southern side of the MCG. Kicks to the wing. McAvoy and Davis. McAvoy up over the top of Davis. Takes a strong contested mark and feeds a hand pass to Howe. Howe works it further afield to Mitchell. By hand to Giath. Knows one way, run, carry, bounce. He's run a long way, top of the 50, kicks to full forward, up they go. Kajitsky can't take the mark. Phillips crashes through, he's tackled, great job by Haynes. They spill in around it. O'Meara wins it at the back of the pack, tumble, punt towards goal, hits the post. From 30 metres out, behind the opening score goes Hawthorn's way. Just a bit of news to bring you up to date with as well regarding Western Australia. WA is entering a 3-day lockdown and no crowd will be permitted for the clash between the Eagles and the Bulldogs today. This is a result of a female who has returned from Sydney, has tested positive to the Delta variant, and she is a physio, so has been in close contact with lots of people. So that's now a concern for Perth. So we've got New South Wales, we've got the Northern Territory, we've got Western Australia, all affected at the moment by lockdowns, and no fans at the footy this afternoon.
Keep you across it all as part of ABC News. Buckley outside the defensive 50 for the Giants, up toward the wing. Himmelberg a rise, off hands Whitfield to Briggs. Curls his kick up in front of the interchange, and it's marked by Flynn. Hands off to the speedy Brent Daniels, who lasers a kick to Green on the edge of the 50. Has Lloyd running inside the arc for the Giants. He's really the only one getting back there. Toby's got it 52 out. Now he tries to direct the pass for Lloyd after waiting for the traffic to get back there. And Giath cuts it off for the Hawks. Handball to Howe in the defensive goal square. Back to Giath. The fumble. Daniels closes in. Scrimshaw's got it for Hawthorn now. Back to Howe. Kick on the half volley. Made more work. Picked it up in the back pocket. Tumbled it to the edge of the arc. Cumming will intercept for the Giants. Handball back to Perryman. Steps around his opponent. Right foot kick to the goal square. Flynn goes up and drags it in. Right on the point of the goal square. Big Matty Flynn's plucked it. He'll go back from 20 out.
It was a poor kick inside 50 from Toby, but the pressure from the other forwards to create that sort of dump kick, which then Isaac Cumming gave to Perryman, which, I mean, you kick to the top of the square and you've got big Matt Flynn, it's always going to be dangerous, but the pressure to initially get that dump kick was really good.
Matt Flynn, the man mountain from Narandra. 5 goals, 1 on the season. Lines it up on the right boot and misses. Gee, from 20 out.
I reckon he dropped that, Joel, from a light plane. That's how far up he was.
Dropped it from the top tier here at the MCG.
Well, I reckon he was...
Scores tied through 4 minutes at 1 behind.
Scrimshaw into the back flank. O'Meara takes the mark opposed to Taranto. A couple of talented players there. O'Meara on the left half back flank members side underneath the shadows of the grandstand. Goes to Shields on the wing, who feeds the hand pass to Day. Day's left foot kick to Wingard. Wingard attacking side of the interchange. Feeds the hand pass forward. Another touch for Day. His hand pass along the ground. Bounces away to Phillips. He rode a tackle from Hopper. Gave to Mitchell. Squaring ball not marked by McAvoy. Buckley there with him. Kajitsky goes in. Knocked it out to Moore. He's tackled, dispossessed. Crowd one holding the ball. Taranto got a hand pass out. Didn't clear the congestion. The umpire might have to intervene with Moore over the top of it here. A ball up 35 metres. Oh, that's a free kick. So a holding the ball free kick. Moore deemed to have pulled it in underneath, and he's been pinged for holding the ball. So Reed's free kick at fullback for the Giants. Of course, Denver Granger Barras making his debut. Long-awaited debut, the number 6 pick for Hawthorn out of Swan Districts.
Perryman for the Giants from fullback. Spots Taranto on the southern side wing. He chips it over the top to Lloyd, who's now at just shy of true centre wing. Goes over the top to Finlayson, who's right on halfway. Sends it along the boundary line to Himmelberg, who marks it left half forward, 60 from home. Rolls around on the right boot. Low kick inside the 50. Hills out to collect on the half volley. Spins, snaps, finishes beautifully. Classy gather from Bobby Hill leading up at the footy, and the Giants went end to end in a flash to get their first of the game. 6 minutes gone, opening term. The Giants 1-1-7. The Hawks one behind. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse.
Now, everyone obviously sitting at home listening would know this, but when that free kick in Hawthorn's forward line was paid, all the forwards for the Giants were on this side of the ground, on the broadcast side of the ground, and every one of those forwards worked their backsides off to get to the other side, and you had Himmelberg, Finlayson all in chain of play, which got the ball inside 50. So it was great work rate, and without them, that ball doesn't go inside 50.
And Adam, that's exactly what I'm talking about from last year. I don't think I can sit here all day and you see 5 or 6 entrances inside the front 50 for a quarter. And the Giants have certainly changed their methodology.
Adam Tomlinson alongside Mick Malthouse on Grandstand AFL. Segler the tap down in the middle. No takeaway for Newcomb as he's tackled right in the middle. You could not be more perfectly in the bullseye at the MCG. It'll be thrown in the air again. Up it goes. Flynn and Segler. Segler the tap, rove by Perryman. Hand pass knocked down by Warple. De Boer had it lost at hand pass straight to Warple. Warple kicks inside the 50. Kajitsky. Good spoil, Buckley. Now Iden over the ball in the pocket. Knocks towards the boundary line. Kajitsky kept it in. No, he didn't. Got a hand pass out towards O'Meara, but he had stepped over the boundary line and taken the ball over. A throw-in.
There's a free kick there, El. That player knew it was out of bounds with 2 whistles and he elected to kick it away. That's time wasting. That's the original rule what it was set for. Don't time waste. I know it's trivial, but...
Thrown back in the right forward pocket. Flynn gets to front spot, slams it up in the air. Iden knocks it on, taken by Buckley, spins through the tackle, handball to Kelly for the Giants. Sharp hands to Ward. Ward into the centre where Daniel sets chase after the footy. Bouncing ball out to the wing now. Handball over the top. They've worked it well to Kennedy, who goes up and down the mine shaft. Inside the 50, Lloyd the rise, couldn't pull it in. Hawks with numbers around the ball. Hardigan slaps it on, picked up by Green, taken high by Hardwick. Free kick to the Giants.
Torpedo, please, put one. give the 25,000 people here.
52 metres out, Toby Green at right half forward. Well within range for the tube, Mick.
Yeah, well, he's got 5 up his sleeve if he's only...
He just lays it off to the top of the square. Himmelberg up in the pack. Segler decisively intervenes. The top of the defensive goal square for Hawthorn. They trail by 6, the Hawks. 9 gone opening term.
Segler brings it to the members' side back flank. McAvoy and Flynn. Flynn used his body on McAvoy and took the commanding mark. He's 70 from goal. Wants to square it up to centre half forward. Davis the target. It hangs in the air, but Davis marks between 2 Hawthorn players, and on his chest, a spoil really should have been made. Now the hand pass away. Perryman through the 50. Goes for goal. Good looking kick. Got it. The Giants have got the first couple. 2-1-13 GWS. Hawthorn 1 behind through 9 minutes on Grandstand AFL at the MCG.
Well, and I'm still bemused how a player can come from behind a bloke on the mark, find space and not be trailed in and has a shot and kicks a goal.
And they were the last people in the grid. They were as far back, there was no one else. So they should have had a lot of people in front of them to at least stop that channel of run. And, I mean, to his credit, Harry Perriman's a beautiful kick of the footy. And as a team, I'm sure they've been told if he's there just on 50 to give it to him. But, I mean, as a Hawthorn forward line and midfield, you've got to be better and clog up that channel.
First goal of the year for Harry Perriman.
First goal of the year. It comes like that. Fantastic goal.
8th game, had it behind coming into today.
He just came out of chronic fatigue, or he got really crook for a month.
He's been battling illness and injury over the last little while. Good to see him back playing some consistent footy. Back in the middle, Hawks take it away through Warple. Drives it to full forward. The stretch from Kajetsky. Couldn't pull it in. Phillips turns tackler at ground level for the Hawks. Deep inside their 50. O'Brien has a go. Spills out the back to him now. Handball around the corner. Hacked off the ground by Taranto. Only as far as Mitchell. Pokes it to the pocket. Phillips the target. Knocked away by Buckley. Desperate defence from a rising star of this Giants team. Slaps it out of play. And we'll have a ball in left forward pocket for the Hawks.
Won't be long before we see Kaczynski take mark of the century. He just goes at anything. He's going to be a great player for the Hawks.
Tossed in, Hawks in attack to the punt road end. Flynn takes it out of the ruck. Hand pass put Reid under pressure, but he flicked it on. Moore comes to take it, then he's taken high. Free kick Hawthorn. 40 from goal, hard on the boundary in front of the Olympic stand. This will test Moore. His eyes are looking infield, but it's a very cluttered attacking 50. All bar about 7 players inside the 50. Moore moves it and pulls the kick. Misses everything out on the floor that goes into the Giants cheer squad, which is not Giant in number, but nevertheless.
It's one thing players have got to be better at. I don't know why when they're going for goal they run so wide out to the right to then try and kick it back over their left side of the body.
Whitfield brings it in for the Giants for the last line. The voice of Demon Adam Tomlinson with you on Grandstand AFL alongside Big Malthouse at this afternoon. Giants by 12 points, 12 minutes gone opening term. Whitfield has it again on the edge of the defensive 50 for the Giants. Kicks it up the members' wing. Himmelberger rise. Couldn't take it. Scrimshaw at ground level for the Hawks. Handball went looking for Bramble and found him. He goes over the top to Mitchell, to Scrimshaw, and Taranto slaps it down in front of the interchange of the hosts this afternoon in orange against Hawthorn in their Legends strip this afternoon. The gold with the brown V. It'll be tossed back in on the members' wing. McAvoy and Briggs wrestle in ruck. Hopper takes it for the Giants. Low kick Whitfield. Steaming out Finlayson. Takes it at his bootlaces on the half volley. Back to Hopper. Now to Taranto at centre half forward. It all opens up for the Giants. Taranto sends it to full forward. Out the back, Green couldn't mark. Taken by Giat. Just got the handball away. Frost now on the last line. Giat's got it again. Hill provides plenty of pressure. It's come off a boot among all that, and I think it might have been the boot of Giath, who socketed out of bounds on the full.
Would they pay holding the ball?
And so it's going to be a free kick going to the Giants. Either way, it's going to be Bobby Hill.
I think he might have been paid holding the ball.
The mark's set inside the field of play, so it must have been for the holding the ball. And Bobby Hill's deep in the right forward pocket, eyeing the sticks for his second. Curls it around on the left boot, pushes it across the face. Has it just snuck in for a behind? No, that one definitely is out of bounds on the
Seemed
ball.
a bit indecisive then, didn't he?
That's a terrible kick. If you're not good at it, then you've got to bring that ball back into play where your teammate can at least have it at the sight of it. Don't give the ball back to your opposition unnecessarily.
Howell's going to bring it back into play for Hawthorn. To the southern side, the sunshine at the MCG over there, but the intercept mark is taken. Perryman for the Giants. Assesses and kicks to half forward. Out comes Granger. Barras went to punch and ended up taking the mark. That's a nice first touch for pick 6 in last year's draft from Swan District. Helped the under-18 side to Western Australia's first title in a decade. The kick goes to the wing. Big Pack holding on in that pack. A Giants free kick.
It's a good mark.
Haynes took the mark anyway. Fires it back to the back point of the centre square. De Boer wanted 50 as Moore moved on the mark. Not forthcoming. That rule's gone out the window. Off to Iden. Iden kicks towards the southern wing. Haynes takes the mark. He's confronted as he plays on. Scrubby kick to the half-forward flank. Lloyd, strong tackle on McAvoy. Ball dislodged. Hand pass comes out. Hardigan to Warple by hand to Scrimshaw off the right half-back flank. He kicks to the wing.
Iden makes position. Bruce in from the back. Flies as a push among the pack. It's going the way of Hawthorn and Tim O'Brien. Handball out wide now to Shields and Howe, who loops it on over the top to the run of Moore at right half forward in the sunshine on the southern side. Inside the 50, looking for Bruce. Slapped down in defence for the Giants by Taranto. Held in along the boundary line. He paddled it out. Handball flicked around the body to Kennedy, who scrambles one up the southern wing. It's all Hawthorn. Mitchell gets back there. Shares a couple of handballs with Shields. Now Shields will drive the Hawks with a shallow entry inside the 50 on the head of Kuzitsky. Making his way to the front of the pack was Haynes. Did he take the mark? No, he's quickly tackled. And we'll have a ball up 45 out from the Hawks goal. Yet to kick one Hawthorn. They trail by 12 through 15 minutes.
If you're listening in the Northern Territory, in about 4 minutes' time, you'll go to depart the footy for a brief moment just to get the latest COVID information, with the news coming through that Darwin, Palmerston and Litchfield are going into 48 hours of lockdown due to 4 cases of COVID-19. WA going into a 3-day lockdown, and this follows a female return traveller from Sydney who tested positive to the Delta variant. That means the match between West Coast and the Western Bulldogs later today will be played in front of no one. The Giants have worked the ball through defence. Iden out to the back flank. Knocked off at Buckley. Kuzitsky with the pressure. Ball out of play near the Giants interchange between the members and Olympic stands at the MCG.
That's what you want your key forwards to be doing, providing that pressure.
Yeah, but that's a very poor kick.
Yeah,
it's almost like I'll kick it near him, not at him.
Thrown back in. Briggs worked his way to the front, tapped it down. Kelly and Mitchell there. Kelly gets the hand pass out. It ricochets to Whitfield. Jewel Best and Ferris off to Taranto. A hand pass out in front of Kelly. Infield hand pass to Whitfield. Now they're on. Himmelberg breaking towards the goal square. The kick goes shorter than that to Hill. Hill in the right forward pocket. Squares it up. And a shot for goal for Finlayson. 40 metres out. Angle is negligible.
Yeah, when they cut loose, especially blokes like Whitfield, you just know it's going to be a double-up possession because he just uses the ball so well. I hope that they bring Green up on the ball at some stage, because I take your point, there was 1v3 the previous entrance, and that's why you've got to get away from that centricity of one player.
7 goals in his last 2 games against Hawthorn. This is hanging left, and I reckon he's just scraped that in. It was heading towards the left goalpost. The goal umpire was right underneath, and it went through by a whisker. And the Giants have got 3 on the board in the opening term. 3-1-19. Hawthorn 1 behind, 17-minute mark on Grandstand AFL.
If we go back to the stoppage where it all started, as soon as Taranto got that forward handball, Whitfield, Kelly and Hopper got on their bike, and it was that next forward handball which opened everything up. And they had 3 options in Finlayson, Bobby Hill and Toby Green to kick to, and then Hill got the ball and then passed it off again to Finlayson, and he also was a beautiful kick of the footy, and it was a great shot on goal.
Another player who found himself outside the starting 22 for the Giants at the start of the year. He's kicked 21 goals on the season today in his 10th game.
It's interesting, your pre-season team compared to your mid-season team varies greatly. Oh, come on, umpire.
You always say the team that plays in round 1 isn't the team that finishes the season.
No, well coaches have this set. I know. I used to have a side in October to work on and think, well, that'll be our side. By January, it's changed. Injuries and that.
Bounce recalled, goes and throws it up in the middle as O'Meara soccers it off the ground. The Hawks work it out through Warple. Now to Day. Members wing, just defensive side of it. The West Adelaide product has the ball in hand. Right foot kick up the line toward the boundary line. Not well directed. And Phil Davis, an easy intervention for the Giants' key defender at half-back. Chips it short to the numbers of the defensive 50 where Perryman's got it.
Off to Iden, too short. Gives it back to Perryman. Perryman kicks towards Reid with a couple to beat. Wingard the spoil. Moore the rove. 60 out. Kicks to 4 forward. Kaczynski's got a good look. Up he goes. Great spoil. Perryman punches it through for a minor score. Hawthorn's second score. 3-1-19, the Giants, the Hawks 2 behinds at the 19-minute mark. Stan is listening in Hobart on 0437 774 774. Hi team, struggling to differentiate yellow from the orange. Surely the AFL can do better, says Stan. I wouldn't say it's a massive problem at the ground, Stan, perhaps watching on TV.
Giants bring it out almost dangerously as Cumming kicked a low one into the corridor, but Hill's got it at right half back for the Giants. Chip short to Taranto, back point of the square.
Who kicked that ball across the centre, 1v2 there, Adam, beforehand? Just too dangerous. You just lose the ball in your back 50, which they did lose. Very lucky.
Perryman.
Yeah, very lucky to get away with that.
Taranto long up the members' wing. A big rise from Briggs. Big Briggs comes in over the top. Gets the ride and pulls it in. 70 from home at right half forward. Sends it to full forward. Flynn in front. Off hands taken by Mitchell of the Hawks. Hardigan scrambles one toward the boundary line off the instep. Will that be paid deliberate? Yes. And so a free kick to Josh Kelly. Almost at the junction of the 50 in the boundary for the Giants. He chips short and laterally to Whitfield.
Whitfield to Ward. Ward front point of the square, 65 from goal. Member side of the MCG, the Giants by 17 points. They've ticked into time on of the first quarter. Callan Ward kicks to the hot spot. Himmelberg's up, punch to the side. Daniels after it, Scrimshaw with him. Kelly goes in, can't get it for the Giants. Ripped off at Day. It comes out the back. Scrimshaw's clearing ball along the ground. Ward in the road for the Giants, top of the 50. Goes long for home. Could be a special goal. Callan Ward has drilled it from outside 50. These Giants have seriously come out hard against Hawthorn. 4-1-25 to 2 behinds, 21-minute mark.
Well, can I just say that when that ball was in the front 50 of the Giants, I always say that if you need any more than 11 or 12 players, there's something wrong with your defence. Hawthorn had 15 players in the back 50. 15, which only left 3 out. So when that ball,
just about to say that.
Well, when that ball comes out, it's loaded up with Giants players who can just pick it off which way they want. As it turned out, Ward going into very good hands of Ward. This is very un-Hawthorn-like. The game's, well, it's still too early to start to predict. But the Hawks' methodology has shifted to defence and trying to save games, and it just doesn't suit them.
Unless they can take a mark, which they can't because they've got so many people flying for the ball, when that kick comes out under pressure, it's straight in the orange hands.
Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse with you on Grandstand AFL. From the restart, Kelly takes the tap, tumbles it inside forward 50 for the Giants. Coming out to meet it, Granger Barris, who handballs away to Scrimshaw. Out a day for the Hawks. And a handball off to the run of Sam Frost with a couple of bounces. The former Giant kicks the southern side wing, went looking for O'Brien. It's fisted out of play by Buckley, and it will be a throw-in. Centre of the southern wing here at the MCG. A sparsely populated MCG, it must be said, on this Sunday afternoon. The Giants, the home team, lead by 23 through 23 minutes.
At the stoppage, Hopper takes possession. Shields latches onto him. He knocked it out belatedly, and a free kick to Hawthorn. Always been a great tackler, Liam Shields. Hand pass away to a running Day. He's got Acreage out on the southern side. A couple of bounces. Day kicks into the forward pocket. Bruce the target. Perryman, a big fist. He belts it over the boundary line. 35 from goal. Right forward pocket. Hawks in attack.
16-9 inside 50s for those listeners. 16 being the Giants. And they've gone 5, so 33%.
Thrown back in. Segler attacks it, palmed it down. Bruce gets it. Perryman tackles him. He tries to fend. He gives to Wingard. Hard on the boundary infield. Hand pass. Bramble couldn't take it. The Giants try to clear it through to ball. High up and under. Kelly punched it. Still inside 50. Warple gets it. Broke one. Got it through a tackle. Bananas towards goal. Brilliant individual effort. James Warple, the ball went through and went bang for Hawthorn's first. 4-1-25 the Giants. Hawthorn 1-8. 24-minute mark, first quarter on Grandstand AFL. Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse.
It was a great goal, sort of against the momentum. I mean, the Giants have had most of the play, but that was sort of just an arm wrestle and they got it back in their favour, and it was a great goal. But, I mean, from a Giants point of view, to stick those tackles so Wingard can't get the handball off and Bruce can't get the handball off is really important. But at the same time, it was a great forward pressure.
Yeah, poor kick, wasn't it, from return from the under pressure by the Giants player there. He tried to clear the 50, but just put it in the air and poked it into a position where a player could run on it. Warple is a very strong at the ball player.
Walker back into the side, of course, after a suspension a couple of weeks ago, resulting from that game against the Swans. Doing some nice things early from the middle. Segler takes his own tap. Handball to O'Meara, to Newcomb. Hands off to Day, right on halfway for the Hawks. Pumps them inside the 50. Davis and McAvoy go at it. Davis knocked it away from McAvoy. Spilt to Cumming for the Giants. Handball outside the defensive 50. Whitfield handball along the boundary line among the tackle. Turned it over and the Hawks go inside the forward 50. Bramble comes out, couldn't take the mark. O'Brien lays the tackle on Haynes. Jars the ball free and a diving effort from Phillips at full forward. Sprawling takes the mark low down as the ball floated over his head. He tracked it back and lunged backwards to clutch it to his chest, 20 metres out directly in front.
He's a 75% shot for goal. This is no walk up, even though he's only 15, 20 metres out.
4 in a row to start the game for the Giants, and Tom Phillips goes back to back for the Hawks as they narrow the gap late in the opening term. Hawthorn 2-2-14, GWS 4-1-25. 26 minutes gone, opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Now, I'm a defender, so I've always been big on playing the percentages, but when you get the ball on the boundary line and you're being tackled, by trying to keep it in, handballing it sort of to yourself and then sort of hoping that you can brush the tackle and pick it up, I just don't think it's worth it. Whitfield could have taken the ball over the line and out of bounds, but instead left it in play. The Hawks are able to swoop on it, and evidently it's ended up in a goal. I just think you're better off of taking the tackle over the boundary line and having the ball up.
The thoughts of Adam Tomlinson, former Giant, now Demon on Grandstand AFL at the MCG. Jess Webster's down on the boundary.
Yeah, Phil Davis has just headed into the Giants' room. He's got a really big gash on his cheekbone, and I think he's just going into the rooms to potentially get that stitched up, but they can't stop the bleeding on the bench.
Thanks, Jess. Hopefully he'll be back out there shortly from the middle. Hopper couldn't get on the end of it. Reid did for the Giants. Hand pass to Boer. De Boer from centre half forward. Hits up Himmelberg, but he couldn't take the mark. Just a late spoil from Frost enough. Frost then lies all over him, and a ball up 35 metres from the Giants' goal at the city end.
Also going, Toby Green's not in the game. Got to get him on the ball for the last 5 minutes of this quarter, just to get him into the game.
Segler the tap, Taranto the rover, hand pass to Hill. Hill snaps for another, and he bounces it through. Bobby Hill's got 2 in the opening term. This a snap as he received on the outside of the congestion, 35 out, and bounced it home. The Giants 5-1-31. Hawthorn 2-2-14, 27-minute mark.
It's a good goal.
Yeah.
He just knows where the goals are. I don't know what sort of competitor he is, or he'll grow into one, but he just finds the ball.
He lived with Toby for a year, and Toby took him under his wing, and I think it really showed him a way of the way to live as an elite footballer, and how hard you've got to work, and it's showing, especially today, because he's finding a lot of the ball and he's getting to really good spots.
Yeah, well, 5 disposals, 2 marks and 2 goals. That would almost see him out for a match. 2 goals.
And he passed the one off before to Finlayson.
Yeah. So he really has
kicked one on the full as well. So
promising start from Bobby Hill. Bit of everything to start us off here at the MCG. From the restart, Hopper gets it forward for the Giants toward Bobby Hill, who's in a foot race with Giath out toward the boundary line. Shoves Giath out of the way. It's picked up by Hardwick. He's escorted across by Toby Green. We'll have a ball in right half forward for the Giants.
Well, that's almost as good as what he's done. That chase there was outstanding.
Well, he spoiled the ball in the favour of the Giants to the boundary and then followed up and got it over the line.
Ball spins back into play. Segler's front spot decisively down to Mitchell. Hacks it up the members' side wing. Back with the flight goes Perryman. Free kick in the marking contest on the AFL logo to go the way of the brown and gold. The skipper McAvoy got a hold in there. He'll take it from right on halfway.
Ben McAvoy looks to the middle. The short lead from Scrimshaw ignored. He wants to go more direct towards the 50. Segler the target here. Up they go. Flynn in front, hands to it. No mark. Comes to Wingard. He's slung. Got boot to ball. Kajitsky marks because Haynes fell over. He slipped as he was lunging to try and make the spoil. And Kajitsky marks uncontested, 30 out to the left of centre.
It's amazing. It just seems to have dominated the game, the Giants. Dominate the game. And here we have 12th entrance by the Hawks. And he's generally a good shot on goal. So brings it back to under 2 goals.
Mick, did you check the boots of the boys when you were coach?
Too right, I did.
I fear for anyone who didn't have the right ones on, just quietly at him as Kajitsky comes in for Hawthorn's third goal, leans back, and he's missed on the left-hand side. He just dragged it slightly left.
An old teammate of mine, Chad Corns, would wear one moulded and one screw-in, so when Choco said show us your boots, he'd show the studded one and not the moulded.
5-1-30 won the Giants. Hawthorn 2-3-15. We've just ticked up to 30 plate of the first quarter.
Cumming brings it in for the Giants to Iden. Two of the younger members of their defensive unit have been playing some good footy, to a third in Buckley, who's got it in the defensive goal square. Calls for some movement of traffic.
Don't quite get that kick, because look where he's pushed now.
Kicks it to a one-on-one on the southern side. Perriman goes up against the opposite number 36 in Moore, and then seen across by Sam Reid, who probably didn't have a great interest in keeping the footy in that situation.
You've got to play chess. Look at your next move and your next move. And he clearly didn't do that. Let's put pressure back on the Giants.
Toss back in at the junction of the 50 in the boundary at right half forward for Hawthorn. Segler takes it out of the ruck. The big turning circle. Left foot kick inside the 50. Looking for McAvoy. Almost dragged it in. 40 out from the Hawks goal. Phillips to Howe. Dispossessed in the tackle. Spilled to Perryman, to De Boer, and now off to Bobby Hill at half back for the Giants. Shares a 1-2 with Whitfield by hand. Pokes it over the top to the wing. Daniels tries to collect on the half volley. Left it behind. Frost goes to paddle. Giath picks up. He's tackled by Haynes. Brought down. Centre of the members' wing will get a ball up.
Members' side of the ground. Up it goes. Segler perhaps knocked it down. Little kick on the siren from Hopper. And that's quarter time at the MCG. The Giants with the prize of a spot in the AFL's top 8. If they can record a victory over the Hawks, and they've made a promising start, the Giants. 5-1-31. Hawthorn 2-3-15 at quarter time on Grandstand AFL. The goal kickers for the Giants, 2 to Bobby Hill, who was everywhere in that first quarter. Singles to Perryman, Finlayson and Ward. James Warple kicked Hawthorn's only goal. News coming through today, Western Australia. A 3-day lockdown in Perth. No fans at the footy for the middle game this afternoon. West Coast and the Western Bulldogs at Perth Stadium. And this is as a result of a returned traveller from Sydney who has tested positive to the Delta variant. The Northern Territory is going into a 48-hour lockdown, or parts of Darwin, Palmerston and Litchfield, as a result of 4 COVID cases there, and the situation obviously has escalated in New South Wales the past couple of days. So the Giants on the road for the foreseeable future, and they're making a good fist of things in a home match. An odd sort of a thing at the MCG. 5-1-31 to 2-3-15. 0437 774 774 is our number. If you want to send us a text message at the G this afternoon, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know your name and where you're listening. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
What matters to you?
Justice, family, weather,
the region,
safety.
What affects you?
Climate,
Wilder,
extinction,
bushfire,
violence, protest, water over the road.
What inspires you?
Sport, results, rescue, goals,
space,
future, country, laughter.
Stories matter. Trust matters. What matters is you. And what matters to you matters to us. ABC News on your TV, radio, iView or the ABC News app.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Finlayson, who's right on halfway, sends it along the boundary line to Himmelberg, who marks it left half forward, 60 from home, rolls around on the right boot, low kick inside the 50, Hill's out to collect on the half volley, spins, snaps, finishes beautifully.
To centre half forward, Davis the target, and hangs in the air, but Davis marks between 2 Hawthorn players, and on his chest, a spoil really should have been made. Now the hand pass away, Perryman through the 50, goes for goal, good looking kick, got it! Ripped off at Day. It comes out the back. Scrimshaw's clearing ball along the ground. Ward in the road for the Giants. Top of the 50. Goes long for home. Could be a special goal. Callan Ward has drilled it. The Giants try to clear it through to Boar. High up and under. Kelly punched it. Still inside 50. Warple gets it. Broke one. Got it through a tackle. Bananas towards goal. Brilliant individual effort. James Warple, the ball went through and went bang for Hawthorn's first.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time at the MCG. The Giants are 5-1-31, Hawthorn 2-3-15. Grant in Waterloo is listening on 0437 774 774, a foundation member of the Giants. Just posing that perhaps this game could have been played in Ballarat. Mick knows the Giants were poor in the sleet against the Hawks, or the snow against the Hawks a couple of years ago in Canberra, but given the Giants Riverina members would have given them the chance to get there. He is aware that the Giants need some match practice though at the MCG, says Grant. Thanks for your text, Grant. 0437 774 774 if you want to touch base with us here. The Giants looking to find a way at the expense of Richmond into the AFL's top 8. So there's much at play for the Giants in this contest here today. Alistair Nicholson and Joel Peterson calling the action for you. Mick Malthouse and Adam Tomlinson are your experts on Grandstand AFL, and we've got Jess Webster down on the boundary. Adam?
Yeah, well, that's a good thing to be at the same ballot, but this is their home game. This is the Giants' home game. They've elected, well, they haven't elected, but they're playing MCG. I was going to ask you, Adam, you've been talking to the guys. I know I did read where they trained on the MCG. This won't be their home. Where else are they training?
Punt Road they train, so they did their
of course,
captain's run at
Richmond are looking after them, aren't they? That's good. That's
so they did the main session on the Wednesday here. Saturday was their captain's run at Punt Road. I'm not sure where they'll train fully this week. Yeah,
I know where they're staying. I've run into a few of them where just my walks. You can't play enough at a ground that is finals ground, and this will, regardless of result, this will, and on all evidence at this stage, they are on top in most positions. This will do them the world of good playing another game at the MCG. It's a uniqueness about the G. It's not only the ground size, it's the stadium itself. It's getting here. I know there's not many people there.
The wind, I reckon the wind's a big thing.
Really? Do you reckon?
No, but just like even when you play, it can swirl around and change direction and not go the way you think it will.
Well, just for those listeners, the wind is coming over my right shoulder and it's coming from right to left into the Richmond end. But I can tell you right now, anyone who looks at that and goes, oh, the wind is favouring the Hawks that quarter. No, it's not, because it hits those stands and bounces back. It is quite unique.
But that's what I mean. So you think Iden, Jack Buckley, even Lockie Ash on the bench, for them to get more experience on this ground for the future is going to be massive for them. Kieran Briggs, Matt Flynn,
so many, isn't it?
Bobby Hill, Isaac Cumming. I'm just looking around at the players who haven't played here much, if at all. So it is going to be very important. I think one thing to look at is, I think O'Brien on Phil Davis, he's got a really important role because Phil reads the ball so well, he can intercept and have a really big impact in a short amount of time, along with Haynes. So I think between those two players, they've got to be sort of looked after.
Briggs in the ruck against Segler at the start of the second quarter. A 16-point lead to the Giants, and Ward wins a free kick. Holding the ball, he's tackled O'Meara, who didn't dispose of it legally, and Callan Ward drives them forward out of the centre square towards the Punt Road end. Big pack of players, no mark taken. Hardwick at the back. There was holding on there in the pack. A Hawthorn free kick to go to Hartigan, who's back in the Hawks lineup. And Kyle Hartigan has it at full back. Beautiful afternoon at the MCG. The kick goes to the back flank. A poor kick. Cummings standing in front. Takes the mark for the Giants. He's 65 out at right half forward.
So if he just bombs this in, it's really luck of the draw you can mark something from this. Then you've got to crumb it well.
What he's doing, Mick, kicks it to the pocket.
Yeah, it's just
rise there, and a good mark taken by the man on debut, Denver Granger Barras, pick number 6 at last year's draft.
He'd be better off coming 10 yards off the centre or 10 yards shorter, anything but to give someone a good run at the ball. And the Hawks are one of the best sides in the competition at either spoiling or marking in packs.
And we spoke about how many numbers they were getting behind the ball as well. So as soon as that kick goes in, they've just got too many numbers.
Granger Barras went to Day, who went short to Hardwick, who drove it up to the wing on the southern side. They all tumble over in the pack out there. Perriman went to ground, got it up to Hopper, kicks to half forward. Briggs, or in fact Flynn, came out on a strong lead. Didn't take the mark, but was paid for the chop of the arms.
Well, let's see who are slow learners here.
He's got the handball. Running shotgun is Harry Perryman, who gets to 60 from home, sends it to full forward. The fist in the pack from Granger Barras to the behind line where Daniels picks it up. Got it to Whitfield, left forward pocket, squaring ball on the head of Bobby Hill. Fisted away by the Hawks defence. Ward has a go, scooting in his McAvoy. Can't take it with him. Warple dislodges it from the hands of Ward. Warple goes again. Now to Bohr. He flipped it up to Perryman, who kicks it back to full forward for the Giants. Giath getting across. Segler back to Giath. They've worked it well eventually, Hawthorn, and Giath drives it to the wing.
Kajitsky back with a flight, one-handed, didn't mark. There's a holding on free kick. Iden being held by Shields. Giants ball. Just to clarify the situation in Perth and Peel, we've had some new information come through around that. It's not actually a lockdown for Perth and Peel. It's phase 1 COVID restrictions, so mask wearing indoors and on public transport, 30 people allowed in houses, private homes, but no one allowed at the football today for the Dogs and the Eagles. Segler marked in the back line for Hawthorn, kicks to fullback and Day. Day top of the goal square. Kicks to the half-back flank. Frost the target. Marks near the boundary line at defensive 50 in front of the Olympic stand. 5-1-31 the Giants. Hawthorn 2-3-15.
No change to the quarter-time score. 3 minutes played here in the second. Hawks exit the defensive 50 to Shields. Ball in the hands of Mitchell. Oh, Warple feigns the handball. The little shimmy around Whitfield. Kicks up toward half forward. Crashing out O'Brien. Brought to ground. Pushed in the contest. Will get a free kick. The Hawks fans, a little bit of a jeer to the umpires as O'Brien kicks to full forward over the head of Bruce. Wingard comes out. It's spiked over the boundary line by Cumming, and it goes out for a throw in right forward pocket. Hawthorn kicking to the city end here in the second term.
2 minutes earlier, again, one kick goes into Toby Green against 4 Hawthorn players. That's nonsense.
Toss back into play. 30 from goal. Briggs works his way to the front, tapped it down. Wingard going through, almost had it. Cumming got it one-handed, jammed it on his boot. O'Brien took it, paid the mark, but didn't think it would be 15. He kicks to the top of the goal square. It clears Kajitsky and goes out of play. Left forward pocket. Hawthorn in attack to the city end. 20 metres from goal. There's a blood rule, and that's going to result in McAvoy making his way off the field. He looks like he's done a couple of rounds in the squared circle.
They don't need any more of that, Hawthorn. Blokes going a couple of rounds. They've had their issues with that this year.
Absolutely not. Yeah, good point. Good point. I wonder if they're still doing the boxing at Hawthorn or whether that has been put on ice, so to speak.
Maybe with the headgear on, at least.
We used to do a heck of a lot of boxing at my club.
So did we.
Yeah.
Ball tossed back in left forward pocket for the Hawks. Briggs hooks it down, goes and gets it out of the ruck for the Giants. Kelly had it at his feet. Wingard flipped it up, only as far as Hopper for the Giants. He kicks just clear of the defensive 50. Granger Barras coming across the pack, making an impact and getting paid a free kick against him.
No,
what on earth for?
Yeah, I don't think it was against him. I think he was being held.
Oh, that's a very nice effort coming across the pack. His work might have been undone by a teammate, as you suspect, Mick, but that was a glimpse into the future for Hawthorn fans. Haynes has it for the Giants at left half-back. Got it to Whitfield. Kick down the line, turned over. Now O'Meara to Mitchell. Handball to Shields on the AFL logo members' side. Drives the Hawks inside the 50. Buckley read it well in the air. Takes the defensive mark for the Giants.
Kick was too far for Iden, but Kelly's able to mop up, and he kicks to the half-back flank for GWS, where Lloyd's taken the mark. On defensive 50, kicks to the wing. Ward with only eyes for the ball, back with a flight, got collected heavily. Free kick to GWS, and there's a bit going on behind the players. The flag is being flown by Bobby Hill. It was Granger Barras who collected Ward. Ward kicks to Lloyd on the right half-back flank. Who was the best boxer you saw during your playing, coaching career, Mick? Who could handle themselves?
Jimmy O'Day could handle himself. Look at the tip.
Yeah,
St Kilda.
Boo O'Day.
Yeah.
Stars John Greening.
Anthony Rocker really could hit heavy. Benny Johnson's a very good, for his the way, his weight. He could box. Just trying to think of the Eagles. Not a lot of them they were all lovers, not many fighters.
Adam, Jake Melksham's a thinks he's a bit of a Golden Gloves man, doesn't he?
We haven't done any boxing at Melbourne. I did a lot at the Giants and had to sort of go toe-to-toe with Jeremy Cameron a lot, and he can throw a heavy one. Sam Reid as well. He's a very good boxer. They did a lot at the Dogs back in the day as well. So he and Callum Ward used to go at it all the time.
So play was just halted for a moment there while things were sorting themselves out on the ground, and Davis kicked the ball, went short to Iden to fullback. Whitfield, the best and fairest of last year and 2018 for the Giants. Will bring it out through defensive 50, but he's kicked that straight to Howe of Hawthorn, although almost as though he was on his team. He marks on the wing, comes into the middle, and Jath has it in the centre square.
Flares it across the square now for the Hawks. Bramble's got it. Toward left half forward. The shade coming across the ground, almost across the centre circles now as Bramble kicks inside the forward 50. Shields the rise. Did he take it off Flynn? Wasn't paid the mark. Spilt to Moore, snapped into traffic and snuck it home.
Well, that's a mark. That's horrible umpiring, I reckon.
Flynn went up. Shields dragged it away from him, got it at ground level, handball to Moore, and the opportunistic finish from Dylan Moore, who kicks his 17th of the season and Hawthorn's third today. They trailed by 10 points, the Hawks, 3-3 to the Giants, 5-1 through 8 minutes of the second quarter.
Jess Webster down on the boundary.
Yeah, Ben McAvoy's only just finished getting patched up. He's just run back out onto the ground for Hawthorn. Cal Ward has also come to the bench under the blood rule, and he's getting worked on by the doctors. So plenty happening down here in the bench. It's at 3 blood rules already.
One of the things that's happened, Adam, the Giants have stopped running. All of a sudden they've gone back to kick. This is last year's stuff, and no penetration. Whereas they got Hawthorn early in the game, in the first quarter, by good run. Get that first one away and run the ball.
Their forwards are running hard across the field, and just a touch on Toby Green in the centre of the ground, which you spoke about earlier on.
Warple got it though for Hawthorn. Hand pass off to Hardwick, gave to O'Meara, off to Scrimshaw. He kicks expertly to the wing, and Shields takes the mark. Shields members side in front of the interchange bench. Shields kicks to the half-forward flank, and Segler floats in and takes the mark. He's 55 from goal. He's got McAvoy as a deep target. He goes in that direction. McAvoy going back with the flight. Oh, he didn't hold it. At ground level now, the big fellow said, how about I rove it instead? Ben McAvoy, eye patched up, dropped what he might have taken. He looked like Tom Mitchell at ground level as he snapped it through on his left boot, no less. And Hawthorn back within 4 points at the 9-minute mark of the second. 5-1-31 to 4-3-27 on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse.
Segler ran really hard after that centre bounce, and he spread forward, and he was the one who took the mark right next to where McAvoy and Davis were. Davis had to take the mark, which allowed big Ben McAvoy to stream forward to the top of the goal square, and he almost took the mark, but then followed up at ground level. And it's sort of what you pay to have two ruckmen who can run like that, because it's resulted in a really good goal.
And they're both great marks, aren't they?
Yep.
I had Johnny Segler at Collingwood, and of course McAvoy at St Kilda. You always ask the question, why did they end up getting to where they've got? But they're both terrific competitors.
Let's go downstairs again to Jess Webster.
I just saw the Hawks doctor run all the way to the goal square to Ben McAvoy and just put a little bit more bandage underneath his eye. So he's getting some running repairs at the moment.
He's not doing him any favours in terms of his situation in the game. Tumbling kick to the wing for the Giants from the restart, taken by Day, which brings some cheers for the Hawks fans. Hands off to Wingard from the edge of the 50. O'Brien comes soaring over the pack at full forward and pulls in a miraculous mark. Enter stage right, Tim O'Brien. It's only a small crowd at the MCG, but they are on their feet. And they'll wait in anticipation as he goes back and has a set shot. The miraculous mark. O'Brien puts the Hawks in front. It's a team lifter, a stadium lifter. There was plenty of lift in that from Tim O'Brien. Hawthorn by 2 points, 5-3-33. The Giants 5-1-31. 11 minutes gone, second term.
Self-inflicted. This deficit by the Giants. They've gone back into a shell, and Hawthorn have moved the ball that quickly, and they've got marking players. When you look at McAvoy and Segler, two ruck, then you look at O'Brien and Kaczynski, they're marking players, and they're getting a sighter. They've been inside the front 50 the same number of times as the Giants, because the Giants did it all early and didn't score. But this game's been flipped on its head because of ball movement, nothing else.
They've increased their work rate too.
Gee, we've seen some good marks this year. That was an absolute screamer from O'Brien. Down at the same end where Shea Bolton took his mark. Clearance for Hawthorn, goes towards the half-forward flank. Haynes was impeded and awarded the free kick. He kicks to centre half back to Ward. Ward goes into the middle. Himmelberg on a searching lead. He marks in front of his eyes. Slightly to defensive side of the centre square for the Giants. Kicks out to the southern wing. Davis next in line. He moves it around the wing. Cumming takes the mark. He's held up. Kaczynski guards the space in front of him. Phillips closes off the wing.
Yeah, they've done it well, Hawks. They've just cut the availability of the next player.
Kick has to go to the pack. A pack of about 6, and an outstanding mark taken by Hardigan at the front of it. Hardigan left half back. Moore's in a tussle. 50 metres. So GWS's discipline now in question as Finlayson got a little vigorous off the ball. Play on by hand. The Hawks to Scrimshaw. Kicks to full forward or half forward. Mark taken. Now the kick inside the 50 by McAvoy. Didn't hit a target. He turned it over. Hopper's got it in the right back pocket. Hawthorn by 2 points. 13-minute mark of the second.
Certainly lifted here, the Hawks. The crowd has too. Hopper chips short to the edge of the defensive 50. Whitfield's got it.
Well, in front of them, they've just got no movement. No movement, and the Hawks are now set up so that they're forcing the Giants to want to run, and they can't take that next chance because of the risk taking. So the Hawks have done very well to pull this game back into the way they want to play.
Almost every player in Hawthorn's half of the ground, only 3 behind halfway. They're chipping it around defensively, the Giants. Whitfield to Kennedy, back to Whitfield, who now tries to break the line. Sends a long kick to the southern wing. Green comes in over the back of Segler. It's spilled out to Hardwick. There's going to be a free kick paid by the umpire. It'll go Hawthorn's way, and advantage is paid as now Howe's got it inside the defensive 50. He kicks to Whitfield on the wing. Hawks fans want 50 as he got a little bit of a shove from Haynes. And Wingard will take it from just defensive side of the AFL logo. Swings it across the centre square again to Blake Hardwick.
Hardwick goes to the southern wing. Days on his own. Likes to run and carry. He's held up by Ward. Tries to take him on and dances around him. Exquisite stuff. He kicks inside the 50. Penetrating ball. O'Brien pushed out. Davis gives away the free kick. O'Brien 30 from goal to the left of centre. GWS has not scored in this second term, which is 15 minutes old, after kicking 5 goals in the first quarter. Hawthorn, a chance to kick 4 on the bounce.
They've lifted their work rate so much, it's forced the defence to shift for the Giants so much, they've been able to find avenues to goal. They switched it twice and ran really hard, which opened up the corridor of the ground, and they went through it.
O'Brien to continue this rush for Hawthorn. The momentum building behind the brown and gold. High flying and clean finishing. Tim O'Brien having a big say. 6-3-39 the Hawks. The Giants 5-1-31 as they were at quarter time. We're 15 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Adam, you almost smelt this with 5 or 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, where the Giants stopped working and allowed, maybe 7 or 8 minutes, allowed Hawthorn then to get their game going. They are a good marking side. If you give them an opportunity to mark, and all you want to do is kick it to them. And as I said, and as you pointed out, they become looking for green. All that happened was the Hawks put 4 players around him. They still kicked at the green. And that happened halfway through the first quarter. Nothing has changed. The slow movement of the Giants is killing them at the moment. And the ball movement of Hawthorn, conversely, has put them at the stake.
Nick Malthouse with you on Grandstand AFL alongside Demon Adam Tomlinson. From the restart, McAvoy takes it away for the Hawks. Big tackle from Hardwick. Some fierce stuff. The Hawks controlling the middle of the ground at the moment.
Someone's down the middle too.
Hopper, I think.
He's just on the edge of the centre circle, hunched over on his knees. Jacob Hopper in a little bit of discomfort. Free kick from the secondary ball up just forward of centre for the Giants, going the way of the Hawks. Warple's turned it over, a disastrous kick. Straight down the throat of Daniel Lloyd. He shares it with Green. Green goes in the 50. Finlayson stretches and marks in front of Hardigan. Gives him a little bit of what for as well.
Yes, that's testing the 50-metre rule there. He probably deserves to think that there was a little bit of action after he took that mark. It was a very, very good mark. Outstretched hands.
So Finlayson's taken the mark, probably 3 metres in from the boundary, 45 from home in the left forward pocket.
He's got no other option to go for it. There's so many numbers inside there.
Kicks it from just outside the boundary line. It won't quite have the carry. And McAvoy's up to spike it through for a rush behind for the Hawks. First score of the second term for the Giants, a minor one. They trail by 7 points, 17.5 gone second quarter.
Yeah, it's a long time between drinks. And it's
Hardwick down the middle to Howe. 40 metres out from goal. He was all on his own.
For a long time.
Howe over the top to Newcomb. Kick hung in the air, goes through Newcomb's hands, allows an opportunity for Kennedy, gives to Hopper. Hopper's closed down, he ran into Frost. Granger Barris, bang! Phillips gets it out the back. To Howe, to Hardwick, kicks Hawthorn to the wing. Underneath it, great hands. That's a superb mark by Cumming. O'Brien was coming the other way and Isaac stood his ground in front. Centre wing. Southern side of the MCG, Hawks by 7 points. The kick goes just inside the 50. Granger Barras is there. He dropped what he should have taken, but he roves it at the back. Gives to Scrimshaw, aided by Jath Shepherd. Kicks his ball to the halfback flank and Phillips.
Lovely pass for Phillips. Hands off to Mitchell, who was riding shotgun. Now to Howe. They've got a little bit stuck here at halfback Hawthorn. Mitchell handballs along the boundary line for Phillips, who's driven in a pile driver of a tackle over the line by Hopper. And it'll be tossed back in between the wing and half forward for the Giants. And the sunshine on the southern side. A stunning winter Sunday afternoon here at the MCG. Joel Peterson, Alistair Nicholson calling it for you. Nick Malthouse, Adam Tomlinson, your experts, and Jess Webster on the boundary. Tossed back into play. Ward's got the headgear on after his knock earlier in the term. Handball along the boundary to Whitfield. Now to Taranto, who tried to kick in field. Leaving it behind was Perryman. Went back and turned tackler. Taranto has another go. Got it off to Flynn. Kicks inside the 50 for the Giants. And the youngsters showing some signs. Granger Barras turns it over though. He took the intercept mark. Kicked across the defensive 50 looking for Giath. And Adam Kennedy rushed in to steal it away. He'll have a shot from 40 out, slight angle left of centre.
Well, that looks the only way they're going to take a mark in their front 50 is if Hawthorn kick it to them, because right now they've gone inside 9 times, and I reckon the Hawthorn defence have just rubbing their hands and saying, thank you, because we've got the numbers. That's the only way.
Hawks are generating a spare. Granger Barras many times has been that one to take the mark.
Game 124 for Adam Kennedy today. Only kicked 12 goals in his career. Lines it up from 40 metres out. He willed it to come back from left to right. He's leaning that way, hoping that it would, and it slammed into the left-hand goalpost. Another minor score for the Giants. They trail by 1 kick, 20 minutes gone second term.
Well, they need to find something, the Giants. This is a huge opportunity. The chance to go into the 8s. Hawthorn outplaying them here in the second term as Shields soccers from the wing to the edge of 50. The ball gets past Perryman. Warple there. Perryman went in hard, almost took the legs of Warple. Ball comes out. Bruce to Koschitzky, 30 out, gives to Phillips. He's caught by Whitfield. Ball dislodged in the pocket. Bruce picks up. He's knocked over by Davis. He's on top of the ball. He needs to get it out. The umpire might ping him here. No, the umpire calls for a ball up right forward pocket.
Just think how quick that ball went from full back to their forward line compared to the other way. It's remarkable.
And a real turnaround here in this second term. O'Brien out of the ruck. Did he shepherd Briggs out of the contest? Umpire says yes. Robbo Gorman, Simon Meredith, Cameron Dorr, our umpires here at the MCG this afternoon.
Doing a good job.
Again, the Hawks have got a spare down the line.
Briggs thumps it in that direction. Scrimshaw across to fist it toward the boundary line. Daniels takes it for the Giants. Handball to Finlayson. Hardigan's across to drive him out of play in the tackle. Again, those two go at it with a little bit of afters. We'll have it tossed back into play, attacking side of halfway for the Hawks, who've really sparked some life into this contest here in the second term. Trailed by 16 at quarter time. They lead by 6, 22 minutes gone in the second.
McAvoy, who's got the white patch on the right eye, almost looks like the Phantom of the Opera out there. Knocked to the front. Taranto tackled off it by Newcomb. Comes to Mitchell, off to Phillips. Brushed a tackle, gave back to Mitchell. Off a stepper, high left foot kick towards the front point of the square. Was Kennedy being held? Umpire said no. Punch to the front. O'Meara rose for Hawthorn. Sends a wobbler towards the 50. O'Brien got belted in the face as he marked back with a flight. Haynes went to spoil and collected him. O'Brien still marked it. He is having a proper purple patch in this second quarter. He's 50 from goal. He's at right half forward.
He's a great kick of the football.
Yeah. O'Brien's kicked 2 in this term. Took an absolute hanger to the city end. Had the distance, absolutely no question about that, lads. That's gone through at more than half post height, but a minor score missing on the right, and Hawthorn's lead is again 7 points at the 23-minute mark of the second quarter.
Yeah, I search it. The Hawks are getting a player in behind the ball, but he's deep, and this is where that extra for the Giants is just not being utilised. They've got to run that ball through that player.
Perryman takes his ground, whacks it out to the southern side for the Giants, and Giath comes across to intercept for Hawthorn and set up another attacking foray. In line with the front edge of the centre square, 70 from home. Kicks it into the left forward pocket. In front of the pack, Taranto. Reid took it at ground level. Handball back to Perryman, who whacks it outside the defensive 50, looking for Daniels, shortest man on the ground, probably not the best one to kick it on the head of. Ward goes to ground in the tackle from Scrimshaw. Ball's knocked loose. Hawks with it at left half forward. Warple's tackled. He's caught holding the ball. And it'll be a free kick going to the Giants, and Isaac Cumming, who's having a very, very good season off half back.
Yeah, it was a good tackle too, Joel.
Tried to fend him, and Cumming was going nowhere. He chips the ball inside defensive 50 to Perryman. Perryman. Oh, that's a dangerous one. Whitfield had it hang in the air. O'Meara the spoil. Hand pass off. Mitchell's kick through the hands of Bruce. Kaczynski had a fumble. Doubles back. Sockers. And he misses. Oh, that is a calamity for Hawthorn. More mistakes than you could conjure in 3 seconds than if you tried. 5-3-33 the Giants. Hawthorn 6-5-41. With a lead of 8 points. That's a game high equal for the Hawks at the 24-minute mark of the second.
Footy skittled about 4 players inside forward 50 for the Hawks. Again, it's kicked to the southern side for the Giants. Giath has another go. Tries to thump it through the pack. Frost spikes it forward. Kennedy's there for the Giants at right half back. Handball short to Perryman, to Taranto, who kicked looking for Daniels. And Giath's across again. He's certainly been involved in the last few minutes. He thumps it out of play, and we'll have a throw in between the wing and half forward on the southern side for the Hawks.
If I can offer anything for the Giants, they've got to get their forward line to play forward, because right now
they've lost structure, haven't they?
Oh, they've lost structure. Totally lost structure. They've lost confidence in going forward.
Hawthorn with 4 goals, 2 here in this second term. The Giants with 2 behinds only. From the stoppage, the Giants work it forward. Howe had it, taken in the tackle by Haynes. Now Day for Hawthorn at halfback. Shared the handball with Newcomb under pressure in the tackle. Through the traffic, the kick went and eventually works its way to Mitchell. Ricocheted around there for a little while, and the Hawks are out through Howe and Day. A marauding run down the southern side with a bounce. Measures the pass inside the 50. Across to mark again is Buckley, who takes it in defensive 50 for the Giants and can settle.
Yeah, running off the back line by the Hawks has been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Just that last kick is letting them down.
Buckley back to the southern wing. Briggs goes up, hands to it, didn't pull it in. Day collects, tackled by Briggs, flicked it out. Howe. Hand pass to Scrimshaw, lifts the arms, can't shake Kelly, does get a hand pass out. Warple inside 50 again. Wingard flies, can't mark, comes to Reid. He's tackled, got it out to Taranto, hemmed in. Jams it on his boot but turned it over. Mitchell marks southern wing, fires it into the middle. Jath, the target, takes the mark. Green guards the ground in front of him. He squares it to Hardwick across the centre square. Now the kick to the forward pocket, and the mark's taken by Bruce. Carving them up, Hawthorn.
Absolutely.
45 from goal, Luke Bruce. He'll go back to right half forward to take his shot.
You just can't believe the 2 quarters have been so
it's
flipped over.
Exactly, a carbon copy, but in reverse. And The structure behind the ball for the Hawks is so good at the moment because there's no forwards there from the Giants.
Luke Bruce for his first of the afternoon. Starts at left. It stays there. It's off hands and through for a minor score. The lead is 9 points to Hawthorn. 26-minute mark, second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Giants quickly bring it in. Perriman's got it. 7th disposal of the term. Chips it over the top to Kennedy.
Even players running from behind are running too early and they can't get the ball off the receiver because they've already gone past and the Hawthorn players gobbled them up.
Kennedy inside the defensive 50 to Buckley. Links up with Whitfield. Lasers the pass out in the path of that's Himmelberg.
Oh, I can't believe it. Himmelberg stopped. He had an opportunity to go forward and he stopped.
Now he swings it across the centre square, makes it hard for Haynes. Bruce got in there to knock it down. Spilled to Kennedy for the Giants, to Perryman. Tumbles it inside the forward 50. Green had a go, left it behind. Hardigan's there, Giat's there for the Hawks. Daniels scoots in, takes it, got it to Kelly, who tumbles it toward goal. A bouncing ball goes across the face and just squeaks in for a minor score. The Giants to 5-4, trailing by 8 points through 28 minutes of the second.
That was the one time we've seen the work rate. They switched and get the long kick to the other side of the ground, but then Himmelberg stopped.
Why would you stop? Why would you stop when you've got someone on their knees?
Just allowed the Hawks to get numbers behind the ball again.
Yeah, it's just they've got to address this at half time. Otherwise, this game's just going to peter out to a Hawks easy victory.
Day plays on. Little Shepherd allows him to gain more metres and he kicks it down the middle to Segler. Seconds ticking down towards half-time. Segler told to get it moving. He kicks to half-forward. Kajitsky and O'Brien, another one! Not quite the heights of previous marks in this quarter, but still a beauty. He kicks into the pocket terribly. Kicked it straight down the throat of Whitfield of the Giants. Half-time, Whitfield handballs the ball away in disgust. Summing up the disappointment after a poor goalless quarter from the Giants, who have a lot at stake, the opportunity to go into the 8 at the expense of Richmond, but they trail Hawthorn at half-time. 6-6-42 the Hawks. The Giants 5-4-34 after GWS kicked 5-1 to 2-3 in the first quarter. The Giants could manage only 3 behinds and Hawthorn kicked 4 goals 3 in that second term. It's a lovely afternoon at the MCG. Hope you're enjoying the coverage with us on Grandstand AFL. Alistair Nicholson, Joel Peterson, Jess Webster, Mick Malthouse and Adam Tomlinson, our special expert commentator this afternoon for you on Grandstand AFL. The goal kickers for the Hawks, Tim O'Brien's kick 2. You've got to get a look at the mark he took early in this second term. It was almost in the same spot that Shea Bolton took his screamer earlier this season. It was an absolute ripper. So 2 for O'Brien, a goal to Warple, a goal to McAvoy, a goal to Phillips and a goal to Moore for Hawthorn. While for GWS, Bobby Hills kicked 2 goals to Perryman, Finlayson and Ward. Shortly the team should drop for the middle game this afternoon. West Coast and the Western Bulldogs, a match to be played in front of an empty stadium after restrictions were imposed for Peel and Perth. 3 days worth of restrictions in those parts of WA after a return traveller tested positive to the Delta variant of COVID-19. So masks mandatory indoors and on public transport. 30 people permitted in private homes, but no one at the footy today for West Coast and the Western Bulldogs. Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse to offer their thoughts on that second term of dominance from Hawthorn.
Just while it's on the front of my mind, when you defend players who like to jump at the ball, you've got to defend them earlier on. With O'Brien, he took a really good mark just then before the siren went. He took his hanger in the goal square, but he looks dangerous when the ball's in the air. You've got to tangle him up and put body work into him before he can actually get to the contest so he can't jump. It's just one thing that's sort of wavered in that quarter because he had 3 really good contests and 2 of them resulted in goals. But overall, it was a carbon copy in reverse. The Hawks moved the ball a lot quicker and the Giants went back to sort of kick market and really slow behind the ball.
Yeah, it's Leon Cameron. I feel for Leon Cameron. He's one of those blokes that wears his heart on his sleeve and he's up against a pretty astute coach. And when you analyse the game so far, it's exactly what you just said. The movement of the Giants was the biggest worry. That started to peter out. Probably 2/3, if not a bit further into the first quarter, and that's when you start to think, oh, there's a few danger signs here. Quarter time, they must have sat down and thought, we'll have a cup of tea and not worry about what's been said, because the Hawks then said, right, let's slow them down and get players in position behind the ball, and they'll try to take you on. Well, 2 or 3 times the Giants had a chance to move the ball very, very quickly. They elected to stop. Players ran past them. All of a sudden, it's all over. All the venues have been closed up. The only way back, the Hawks can win this game, and they can win it easily. And I say that if they persist with this game style and don't have the resistance, if the Giants are to turn this around, they've got to get. And I hate the word by saying, oh look, you've got to, be brave and all this sort of stuff. No, you just got to be smart. Nothing about brave. Just be smart. The smartness was I moved the ball quickly in the first quarter, which opened up the opportunity where the Hawks couldn't get their numbers back. Let's look at the first target. Let's look at the second and third, which generally is going to be Toby Green. Toby Green's, you want him in the play, but you want him to see him in the centre occasionally where he's not in the forward line, and they're forced then to look for other targets, because the best that the Giants have done this year without Cameron has been able to look for multiple targets. When they zero in on one player, like they've done today, and the Hawks know this, they just put a couple of players on him and the third one gets across and it's all over. No matter how good he is, he can't sustain it against 3 opponents. So this game, Adam, is for the Hawks to lose, the way I see it.
Well, there was a whole lot of unrewarded running for the Giants earlier on in the first quarter. And you know what happens with unrewarded running? People stop doing it because they're not getting rewarded. And we saw that at the back end of the first quarter and a lot through that last quarter. So for me, it comes down to work rate. Whichever team's willing to work harder. And for the Giants, it's the forwards and the mids to sort of get up the ground, but then to get back and reset. So the Hawks defenders actually have someone to stand and someone to man up on, because right now they took intercept mark after intercept mark and they switched the ball and went straight back inside 50. So if the Giants are willing to work hard enough and man up those defenders, then it should get back to a pretty even contest.
On the SMS 0437774774. G'day, Al. Grant here in Hobart, enjoying my Sunday fish and chips from the Cambridge shop. I reckon, remember Reggie Bird from Big Brother? I'm not a Big Brother follower, but Reggie, I think, used to own that fish and chip shop down in Hobart.
That's a reference.
That
and
is
a half,
random,
Al.
isn't it? Now, probably the last time I watched Big Brother, just quietly.
While you're talking about Hobart, Ross, the little town Ross, the little bakery there makes the best
scallop pies.
Yes. And isn't Ross just a magic town? For those that are looking to go to Tasmania and you're driving from Launceston to Hobart.
Off the Midland Highway.
Yep. And there's a little place before that that's actually on the highway. It's a colonial type of town. Campbelltown, but doesn't live with Ross.
You love Ross?
We stayed there a couple of days, and it's a thing called the Women's Factory. And there's not much left of it, but the stories about the young women who had to give up their babies and they just worked in these big factory. It's an amazing town. And there's the Ross Bridge. My son, who lives in Launceston, sent me a photograph of that in flood last week.
Wow.
And
had some rain down there.
Yeah.
It's often a very dry part of the state down there. Sheep country, but real colonial history there as well. And bushranger country as well.
I could well imagine.
Back in the day, Mick.
Your relatives would have been part of that.
I'm a first-generation Australian, but I think there are many down there with a convict past.
So you've got no one from the boats?
No criminal record on my side of things, Mick. Fair to say, but many Tasmanians, if they look back in their history, would be linked somewhere to a ship that might have sailed out with a few people who had committed, when you think about it, fairly minor crimes on the scale of things. We've got very severe punishments. Grant confirms it is the same shop. He says he's never heard Adam before, but he's doing a brilliant job. Go Blues today, hopefully, says Grant. Thank you, Grant, for your text. 0437 774 774. Adam, we saw a little snapshot of it in the documentary, but you've been in there, you've experienced it. How will Leon Cameron be handling the change room at halftime, given the opportunity that's here for the Giants today and the way they played in that second quarter?
Yeah, so it's been 2 years since I've been under Leon, and I think things might have changed a little bit, but when I was there, it was always some honest conversations, which was what I learnt from Mark Williams and then flowed on from Sheeds and into Leon. And I think very much the similar thing would be happening, is the direct feedback and what they need to do better. There would be, this is where we're getting beaten, this is what we need to do better, and it wouldn't be sugar-coated. But, that's what would have happened 2 years ago. I think things might have changed once that documentary came out, because people saw it and thought things might need to change. But back in the day, it was always very honest and straightforward.
Yes, how would you get them going, Mick? Do you feel as a coach, when your team's not playing, I mean, the contrast from first quarter to second quarter, is there a lever that a coach can pull in the rooms at half-time to get the team to refocus and start playing again the way they were?
Absolutely, Al. Absolutely. Once you recognise, it's not. You can't just go in there like a bull at a gate and just yell, because you've got to give method. It's got to be a method that I call it the tick effect. And if you look at a tick, as you would get at school. So the error's been made. The errors that have been, ball movement has been absolutely nil. And so then you go down and you give them a burst on that. You've got to admit, the boys, listen, you've stopped and started and you've mucked around with the thing. You've given them opportunity. You haven't taken the ball forward. Okay, they're just about hit the bottom. Then you say, but we know how good we can be, because when you have a look at what we've done in that first quarter, when we moved the ball quickly, we caught them out and we scored and we looked like we can do it. There's your tick, and there's another little circle in the middle of that, and at the very top of it, when they come back in after the game, you say, well, look, you know what we achieved? Look, we identified where we went wrong. That's what we had to do, and there's the plus. Now, if they go down the hill even further, then at the end of the game, that becomes the issue on Monday to say, look at the MCG, we've got that much room. Why were we stationary? Why do we let Hawthorn, who's not necessarily a quick side, they're a smart side, not quick, enable themselves to get in a position where we couldn't break through? So you don't want to wait until Monday. You want to be able to say, well, this is what we're doing right now at half-time. That's fundamentally the reason why Hawthorn are now in front, is absolute ball movement. They stopped the ball movement for some unbelievable reason 5 minutes, 7 minutes before quarter time. Was it big? And I don't say about this daring business. It's just, you've got to be smart about it. But put the ball in the hands of players who can play on, and we've got to play on when we can to get it in one-on-one in the forward line as opposed to 1-on-5, 1-on-3, 1-on-2. Keep our forward line structure, that dissolved, because everyone then started a kick chase. And if you've got a box formation in front of their kicks, they can move anyway. It doesn't matter what that fifth player looks like. It's very hard to guard. But if you're already up at the ball, they'll slaughter you. And that's an old problem of the Giants last year, was they fell back. A lot of football up around the half-back line. Even Cameron was up in the half-back line. You can't kick it to yourself and mark it in the forward line if you've got the ball. So that's why I thought when Cameron left, I thought they'd have to change up to identify other players and not be so centric on Cameron. And they were in the first... in the last half a dozen weeks, they've played really attacking football, but defended well as well. I like Davis as a player, but I also would rather him say, let me go defence first before I start to attack the football, because they're getting chewed up on this back line. And he's a leader. He has to make sure they don't mark the ball the way they're marking it.
Mick Malthouse and Adam Tomlinson with us on Grandstand AFL.
I was just going to say, I think one thing that will be on the whiteboard, which doesn't take anything but effort, would be the work rate. And it's what a lot of coaches harp on about it. You don't need skill, you don't need anything to work hard, and that's what dropped off. I mean, we said it a lot in the last sort of 20 minutes, and that's what they'll harp on about.
I'll tell you what, goal kicking is often a bit of an issue in the AFL. It's the bugbear of many, and teams don't take their opportunities. I'll tell you what they could do. Borrow from the Oz Kickers match that's happening down here at the moment, because the size of the goals is absolutely enormous down there in front of us. I mean,
and they still can't.
That's the equivalent of 2 sets of goals basically down there, the gap between the major openings. So I think that's going to be a pretty high-scoring affair down there in the middle of the MCG. 6-6-42 is the score. Hawthorn 5-4-34. GWS at halftime at the G. We'll have the second half coming up for you shortly. Northern Territory listeners are due for some COVID information. Of course, the lockdown for parts of in and around Darwin, Palmerston and Litchfield of 48 hours announced today. WA headed into 3 days of restrictions if you're in Perth and Peel, and no crowd for this afternoon's match between West Coast and the Western Bulldogs. We'll have the second half from the MCG for you on the other side of the latest edition of ABC News.
ABC News with David Rowlands. 3-day restrictions have been introduced for the Perth and Peel regions, including the wearing of masks indoors and on public transport, and restricted numbers for gatherings. It comes after a Perth woman tested positive to COVID-19 after travelling to New South Wales nearly 2 weeks ago. The woman in her 50s travelled to Sydney on June the 15th for an event outside the city. A few days later, she returned back to Sydney and spent time in the Bondi area before flying back to Perth on the 20th of June. Today's AFL match between the West Coast Eagles and the Western Bulldogs will now be played in front of an empty Perth stadium. Workers continuing to make sure all passengers travelling on 5 Virgin airline flights are in isolation after a Sydney-based flight attendant was infected with coronavirus. There are 30 new cases in New South Wales, with 10 of them connected to an outbreak at a seafood wholesaler in Sydney's Marrickville. More than 52,000 people were tested in the latest reporting period. New South Wales Chief Health Officer Dr Kerry Chance says the flight attendant is a household contact of a worker at Great Ocean Foods.
One of the cases that were linked to the Great Ocean Foods outbreak was a flight crew, and we've been working closely with Virgin Australia and our colleagues in Victoria and Queensland overnight.
Greater Darwin is in lockdown for 2 days as the Northern Territory records 3 new cases of coronavirus. It's the first time the Northern Territory has had a local outbreak. Anyone in Darwin, Palmerston North and surrounding rural areas can now only leave their homes for 5 essential reasons, and masks will be required outside. Chief Minister Michael Gunner says 2 of the new cases are isolating at the Central Australian mine where the outbreak began. However, the third had flown to Darwin 3 days ago.
Here in the Territory, we do not have the luxury of waiting and seeing. If we wait and it gets worse, it will be too hard to control. So we are taking extreme action right now to stop or slow any spread before the coronavirus is let loose in the Territory.
Authorities in Queensland are urging people to check contact tracing site lists after 2 new community cases of COVID-19 were found. Emily Grimens has the details.
Contact tracing is in motion after a Brisbane couple tested positive overnight. One works at the Brisbane DFO, linked to an earlier cluster, though authorities think it's more likely her infection is from a Portuguese restaurant linked to the same cluster. Her partner works on the Sunshine Coast. The Chief Health Officer, Dr Jeanette Young, says they've both attended a lot of venues, and a list of contact tracing alerts will go up on the Queensland Health website.
Check those websites, come forward, get tested. Any symptoms at any time get tested.
It's believed the new cases have the Alpha strain. Genomic testing is underway.
The Victorian government says it won't hesitate to strengthen border restrictions with New South Wales to protect the state from Sydney's growing COVID-19 outbreak. The state has declared Greater Sydney, the Blue Mountains, Central Coast and Wollongong as red zones, meaning non-residents cannot enter Victoria. Regional New South Wales has been declared an orange zone, with anyone entering Victoria required to get tested and isolate until they get a negative result. Acting Premier James Merlino says health officials are closely watching the situation north of the border.
It's a rapidly changing situation. Keeping Victorians safe is our top priority, and we won't hesitate to strengthen our border settings if that is the advice from Public Health.
Shadow Climate Change Minister Chris Bowen says the federal government needs to be honest with coal mining communities about the future as Australia's major trading partners commit to producing net zero greenhouse gas emissions. Australia exports more than 70% of its coal, worth $70 billion a year. Mr Bowen has told insiders that the Morrison government has no plans to transition coal mining communities to generating renewable energy as countries like China commit to reaching net zero.
That is going to change coal mining communities. We can pretend it's not happening, we can ignore it, or we can invest in those communities, make them the jobs powerhouse of a new renewable economy. The same areas which have powered Australia in the past with cheap and reliable energy will power us in the future.
And former US President Donald Trump has used his first campaign-style rally since last year's election loss to call the Biden administration a catastrophe. Mr Trump used his speech in the state of Ohio to try to rally support for Republican candidates at next year's midterm elections. He told thousands of cheering supporters that Republicans would take back the House and the Senate in next year's election. This is ABC News.
ABC Sport on Social is your sports conversation on the go. Video, player insight and analysis. This is the content you never knew you needed. Get ABC Sport wherever you scroll.
What do you think makes someone an Australian of the Year?
It's people who show courage, sacrifice and kindness.
Now's the time to reflect.
On your community.
And who you admire.
Now's the time to respect.
By nominating and acknowledging them.
Now's the time to celebrate.
Their story, their contribution,
and their generosity.
I'm Hamish McDonald, and I'd love you to nominate an inspirational Australian who you think is worthy at australianoftheyear.org.au.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Bramble kicks inside the forward 50, shields the rise. Did he take it off Flynn? Wasn't paid the mark. Spilt to Moore, snapped in the traffic and snuck it home.
Segler floats in and takes the mark. He's 55 from goal. He's got McAvoy as a deep target. He goes in that direction. McAvoy going back with the flight. Oh, he didn't hold it. At ground level now, the big fellow said, how about I rove it instead?
Taken by Day, which brings some cheers for the Hawks fans. Hands off to Wingard from the edge of the 50. O'Brien comes soaring over the pack at full forward and pulls in a miraculous mark. The miraculous mark. O'Brien puts the Hawks in front.
Day's on his own. Likes to run and carry. He's held up by Ward. Tries to take him on and dances around him. Exquisite stuff. He kicks inside the 50. Penetrating ball. O'Brien pushed out. Davis gives away the free kick. O'Brien to continue this rush for Hawthorn. The momentum building behind the brown and gold.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Halftime at the MCG. Hawthorn leading the Giants by 8 points. A lot at stake for the Giants. They can go into the 8 if they can claim victory. They'll need to improve on a poor second term. Second half about to get underway with Joel Peterson on Grandstand AFL.
24-point swing from quarter time to half time the way of the Hawks. The Giants need a response. From the opening bounce of the second half, Briggs tried to take it away. Segler socket it the other way. O'Meara crashes through for the Hawks, forces the footy forward. Phillips with a go, opposed to Haynes for the Giants in defence. Phillips a handball through the legs of McAvoy, spills to Wingard, off to Bruce, doesn't miss from here. Luke Bruce closes in on goal and continues the run for Hawthorn. The Hawks have kicked 6 in a row, 5 in a row since quarter time, and are really rushing onward with this game. They lead by 14 points. We played a minute in the third term. Mick Malthouse, Adam Tomlinson, that is not what Leon Cameron would have ordered.
No, well, he wouldn't have, but that ball rolled around the middle. The ruckman got his boot to it, didn't carry. There was just a little run. There was no real mistakes outside of touch, which would have been hard. So I wouldn't put that down to laziness or anything else. It was just good play by the Hawks. And they worked hard, the Hawks, to get their numbers right.
No late change for either West Coast or the Western Bulldogs. That match starting in 40 minutes' time. We'll keep you across it. Mitch Wallace is the medical sub for the Western Bulldogs. Jackson Nelson for the Eagles. Briggs rises in the middle, knocked it down. Green couldn't get it. Wingard did. Hand pass to Mitchell. Hand pass to Hardwick. Hardwick will kick the Hawks towards the southern wing, and Segler had spread. He's got more on it. Half forward. Kick goes in his direction. 70 out. More. Borks. Then kicks towards full forward. McAvoy. Got it! Opposed to Haynes. Buckley there as well. He was the immovable object in the pack and he held on to the mark. 30 out directly in front.
Sort of can't work out where Davis is not up with those bigger players. He's probably the tallest player down there for the GWS.
He got caught early on a lead up when O'Brien led up the ball, and so he was further up the ground. But again,
once that ball's in the air,
Segler ran really hard again from the centre of the ground.
McAvoy for his second goal to continue the Hawthorn surge. He's missed on the right-hand side. Well, that would have been a telling blow for the Hawks, but McAvoy, the captain, unable to capitalise. A 15-point lead. It's the most significant lead of the game. We're at the 2-minute mark of the third term on Grandstand AFL. The most significant lead of Hawthorn for the game.
Not often Ben McAvoy misses a set shot. Frost from the long kick in of Cumming rides the bump on Himmelberg and pulls in a good mark at left half forward. They've been springing up all over the place, the Hawks. Takes the ground, there was no one on the mark. Kicks to the pocket. Moore's out the back for Hawthorn. Tries to keep it in tight on the boundary. We'll have a ball in. Harry Himmelberg's hurt as well, for what it's worth, after being clattered into.
Yeah, that was a knee. I reckon he's got a really good corky, maybe in the hamstring.
He's down with the trainer, still trying to get to his feet at right half back. Meanwhile, ball's tossed in the forward pocket for the Hawks. McAvoy spikes it down, taken by Green in defence for the Giants. Spills around to Perryman, now to Cumming. He walks it across the boundary line. And again, we'll have it tossed back in. Deep in the left forward pocket of the punt right end of the ground. The Hawks kick to that end here in this third term. They lead by 15.
In it spins. Briggs tangles with McAvoy, tapped it down. Hopper gets it off to Ward. He's immediately tackled by Warple, pushing the back. Free kick to the Giants. Got some information on the scallop pies for you, Mick Malthouse. Shane has sent us a text on 0437774774. Ward comes to the back flank. Perryman the target. Moore the spoil. Could have been over the shoulder. Perryman's got it. He's now tackled by Bruce. Holding the ball. I think he's a bit stiff there, Perryman. Moore and Bruce with the tackle. Moore now with the free kick for the Hawks. So Shane, who's done quite a bit of shearing in the past around Ross. Moore kicks inside the 50. O'Brien there, but Haynes is up to take the mark. He says, "G'day boys, enjoying the game. I've done a lot of shearing around Ross in the past. Lots of history." Jimmy Goss got the scallop pie started many years ago, and totally agree. They're great, says Shane.
Haynes from the defensive 50 of the Giants. Frost almost intercepted again for the Hawks. They work it through hands. Briggs to Green. Green to Hopper. Hopper over the top to Hill. Fumble for a moment. Tackled by Hardigan. Daniel scoots in for the Giants. Handball taken by Day of the Hawks. He goes to Scrimshaw. Driven into the turf by Briggs. Didn't have the footy. Fair to say, if Kieran Briggs is over the top of you, you're going to know about it, especially if you're the build of Jack Scrimshaw, who's got the footy just defensive side of the AFL logo for Hawthorn. Gallops away toward his defensive goal. Sends it to Denver Granger Barras, who flicks it out wide by foot to Liam Shields at right half back for Hawthorn. Still controlling this contest pretty nicely at the moment, the Hawks, as Shields goes over the top to Mitchell. Had it thumped away from him by Iden. And we'll have a throw in centre of the southern wing here at the MCG. Beautiful winter's day, plenty of blue sky above. It's been blue sky since quarter time for the Hawks. They lead by 15 points, 5 minutes gone in the third.
Ball's out on the southern wing. Kick under serious pressure from Taranto. Worked out all right. Cumming. Dangerous ball into the middle off the hands of Whitfield. O'Meara takes it, fends away from one. Not a second, he's caught. Got a belated hand pass. Lloyd had nailed him. The Giants come up with it. Cumming a hand pass to Whitfield from the centre circle. Kicks the Giants inside 50 over the head of Flynn. Outstanding mark. Opposed to him, taken by Hardigan. Two big bodies down there, and Hardigan with strength took the mark for Hawthorn. He goes to the right half-back flank. Tom Mitchell.
You see this side here, you just can't believe that Hawthorn are second or third bottom. They just play some really good football and got players that can mark at both ends of the ground.
Mitchell to the sunshine on the southern wing. Off hands it comes to O'Brien. His hand pass into the pack. Shot out by Taranto. Whitfield goes back. Wheels around. Has a bounce. He's on his left side. Comes back to his right. And chip passes to Buckley, centre of the southern wing.
They're not looking. Now they're just looking up and down the line.
They're not turning their head at all, are they?
Well,
Here we go.
well, they do, but it's too slow. Yeah. And they had two targets already forward of that. They could have used either one. Just by the way, now they've got an opportunity because they've got a very good spread here.
Buckley defensively to Iden, who got it to Cumming, and now out to the members' side for Haynes. Haynes, an awkward kick over the top of De Boer, made him work at right half forward. Hawks had numbers, Scrimshaw and Frost. Frost handballs to Scrimshaw. Now to Day, hemmed in along the boundary line at half-back. To Howe, down the line, pokes it over the top. And Jack Scrimshaw continued to work down the line and ended up taking the mark, opposed to Harry Perryman. Just defensive side of centre for Hawthorn on the members' side of the ground.
You said it, Joel. Continued to work.
Scrimshaw kicks up the line, looking for Bruce. Haynes outpoints him on that occasion, takes the defensive marks for the Giants, shoots it inside the back 50 to Iden.
Have a look here, just at the number of possessions that Toby Green has had in the game today, because he's had no real influence at all. The kick goes back to Taranto, who's inside the defensive 50. 7 possessions for Toby Green.
It's not his fault. Al, I just reckon the entrances into the forward line have been absolutely abysmal, and in the midfield he just hasn't been able to get his hands on it.
Kick went to Kelly. Kelly kicks to the wing. Up goes Frost, can't mark, through the hands. Granger Barras was collared by Himmelberg, play onto advantage. Howe feeds the hand pass to Mitchell in the corridor, off to Warple. They swarm on top of him. Reid got him from behind, tackled him, dispossessed him. Now the counter attack. Whitfield touches down in the middle, hand pass low, taken by Taranto. He feeds the hand pass off to Lloyd. Lloyd thumps it inside 50. 3 Hawks get back to try and contest this. Segler. Finlayson denied a run at the ball, and Segler marks at fullback, and he fires it out towards the right back pocket. Shields just keeps it in play to his own advantage, now collects, kicks along the wing, and O'Meara, the ball movement, the contrast between the way the two teams move the ball is stark.
O'Meara gets it on to O'Brien, who takes a much more regulation mark than we've seen from him so far today. Centre of the southern wing, over the top to Shields, who runs on. Goes inside the 50. Kajitsky front spot on Haynes. Couldn't take the grab. Down low taken by McAvoy. Handball to Bruce. Handball to Kajitsky on the edge of the 50. Phillips tried to spin through the tackle of Buckley. He got taken down. And a ball up 55 out from the Hawks goal.
They look like a side in the hub. Honestly, they're going up through treacle at the moment, GWS.
Flynn wins it out in ruck. Taken by Shields. Handball to Howe. Kicks to the pocket. The rise of Wingard, who flies in front of Reid and takes the mark in the right forward pocket for Hawthorn, 25 metres out.
That wasn't self-survival mode, but they're not willing to help each other at the moment.
No, they're not.
It's 1v1 all over the ground in the forward line.
Quickly spins around on a dime and finishes beautifully. Chad Wingard, goal for a third week in a row. And the Hawks out by 21. 9.5 minutes gone in the third quarter. Hawthorn 8-7-55. The Giants 5-4-34. Hawthorn with 6 unanswered goals since quarter time.
The start of that play happened in the middle of the ground. Handball from the Giants. And they went to kick forward and it was another 1v4.
That's it.
And it was just a spread from there. Work rate. They outnumbered at the next contest. And they ended the ball inside 50, and it wasn't an easy entry, but it was a lot easier than down the other end.
So this is where they've got to get their forward line, even if it's a box 4, in front of the ball. That can be contested, but if you've got 1v4, it was inevitable that ball was going to come out very, very quickly. I didn't take in consideration where the Giants have been this week, and it does have an effect on you.
Haven't kicked a goal, the Giants, since the 27-minute mark of the first quarter. Green's in the middle, trying to do something about it. He gives the hand pass and Kelly kicks forward inside the 50. Scrimshaw and Frost there to raffle it. Scrimshaw marks, kicks to Jath. He'll play on for certain. He's kicked to the half-back flank, marked by O'Meara. O'Meara to the members' wing. Just cut him through them. Mitchell, short to Bramble. Bramble at the interchange gates. The second game up. Hawthorn has debuted 8 players this season. Granger Barras the 8th. Kick goes to half forward. Unable to mark on this occasion, O'Brien. Roved by Reid. Under pressure, hand pass to Ward. He'll be barreled, perhaps pushed in the back. Got a hand pass out. Hopper bounces it around the wing. Jath there. Palmed it down cleverly to Scrimshaw. He brushes Hill way too easily. Hand pass away to Mitchell. Mitchell through the traffic, defensive hand pass. Newcomb slides his kick to half forward. Up goes Haynes. Iden there, knocked to the front. More rows for Hawthorn, off to Bramble. Hand pass into the middle to Day. Day's hand pass to O'Meara. He works it to Frost. Frost from 4 to the centre circle. Kicks inside the 50. Haynes again. Reads it superbly in the air and marks at fullback for the Giants.
Sends it outside the defensive 50. Set Ward an awful task, and Scrimshaw comes in over the top to intervene for Hawthorn. Short pass to Howe at left half forward. Inside the 50 to Bramble, who runs around, eyes the sticks, curls it toward goal. Looking for a first at the AFL level, left it just a little bit narrow. Margin 22 points the way of the Hawks, 12 gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL.
I've got more scallop pie information for you, Mick Malthouse. You've opened a can of worms on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they do. The best do come from Tassie.
Well, Dave in Tewksbury's saying exactly that on 0437 774 774. He says there is not a bakery in Tassie that doesn't have a good scallop pie. So we've singled out Ross, but all the bakeries, according to Dave. Kick goes towards the wing. Himmelberg gets it for the Giants. Members side, kicks it forward, belted forward by Finlayson. Wayne Harms style. It goes over the boundary line, and he's been pinged for insufficient intent. There was no Kenny Sheldon, there was no goal. It's just a Hawthorn free kick to be taken by Frost.
Well, that didn't go where it was intended to go because he went to punch onto his teammate, but nonetheless, there was still 2v3. It's disheartening to see a side so poorly organised.
Frost kick. Jath dropped the sitter. Now fights for it at ground level with Kelly. Kelly a strong tackle on Jath. And the umpire's going to pay holding the ball here. Jath deemed to have made no effort to dispose of the footy. And a free kick here for the Giants, slightly the attacking side of the members' wing. The Hawks by 22.
Kelly will roll onto his left boot from the front point of the square. Send it to full forward. Across came Hardwick to try and knock it down. It's spilt to Daniel Lloyd, who pounces on the opportunity for the Giants and kicks their first goal since the 27-minute mark of the opening term to close the gap to 16 points. The Giants 6-4-40, the Hawks 8-8-56, 14 minutes gone, third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Adam, it goes without saying that had to happen, and it was never going to come from a mark. The Hawks are proven both ends of the ground they could outmark the Giants, but no doubt. It had to hit the ground, and it had to hit the ground quickly, and Whitfield got it in there, didn't muck around with it, got it in there, and although the Hawks had the extra number, he wasn't involved in the play because of the quickness of the kick, and in many respects a lot of hope. Hope it worked, but it did.
My thing to say with the forwards at the Giants end of the ground, they're getting run under the ball. Their initial movement to go forward is allowing their backmen to just push them under. I think they've just got to either hold the ground a bit more and make more of a contest.
The thoughts of Adam Tomlinson on Grandstand AFL. Wingard out of the middle, had his kick smothered. Taranto sends a high one towards Himmelberg. Back with a flight. Scrimshaw launched into the pack. His body bent over the top of his teammate, and he held it to his chest. Superb, courageous mark in defence for Hawthorn. We've seen some beauties today.
They've got the best marking side in the comp, both ends. They're just incredible. You know, you've got Kaczynski at the other end and O'Brien and these players. They're just fantastic to watch.
Kick went to Mitchell at half-back. He kicks to the wing. O'Brien hands to it, no mark. Belted forward by Briggs. Hopper there, goes to ground, farmed it out to De Boer. De Boer squaring ball to half-forward, back with a flight. Granger Barras couldn't take it. Pursues it at ground level. Runs into a bone-jarring tackle. He's caught 40 metres from goal. Right in over the top of him. It was a lovely tackle from Finlayson to lock it inside the 50, and that's what the Giants need. A bit of forward 50 pressure, keep it in there.
Toby Green hovering around the stoppage here, goes up in ruck, in fact, against Segler. Taken by the Hawks and Shields, up and down the mineshaft on the edge of the defensive 50. Newcomb skies, Hopper thumped it back to Shields, who tumbles it into the centre. Briggs bounced off his chest. Reed has a go, thumps it forward with a fist. Now Briggs goes again to Green, tried to fend off Newcomb, got him in the tackle, got the handball away to Hopper. Hopper inside the 50 for the Giants, looking for Kelly. Granger Barras, who's been lively both in terms of his actions and his spirit around the contest today, is seen across the boundary line. Jacob Hopper's down again and writhing in pain, as we saw in that second term.
Yeah, a bit of, he got one right in the, did he get one in the, right in the middle?
He's haunched over right on the 50, about 15 metres away from the contest where the ball comes spinning back into play. Scrimshaw got a kick at it for the Hawks, goes straight up and down in the right forward pocket.
So what happens here is Briggs, the ruckman for the Giants, sits out at a forward 50 stoppage, which means Finlayson's got to take the ruck. So straight away, Hawks are outnumbered that stoppage in their back line. And as soon as they kick, Briggs was the one who could impact. But they just need to have a better sort of advantage at the contest here.
Segler knocked it down, Warple roved it, kicked it straight into the ankle of De Boer, and it rumbles out of play. 45 out from the Giants' goal at the City end. Why hasn't Toby Green Played one out in the forward line, says one of our listeners on the text.
He tried, he just had 4 opponents.
Yeah, well, that's it.
You can't get one out. Oh, there's a push.
Segler edged out his opponent in ruck, gave to Frost. He sends a high rainmaker into the middle of the ground. Davis there could have marked it. Instead, belted it forward, two-fisted. Comes to Green. Green to Daniels. Hand pass to Kelly. Kelly tackled by Frost. Kicks to an unguarded goal. A bouncing ball. It's across the face and a minor score. Giants have just lifted a fraction. Yeah. 15 points is the Hawthorn lead at the 17-minute mark of the third quarter on Grandstand AFL. Loving the call, Philby and Lynn, especially if the big sound from the west get muted and leave the Tigers in the 8. Just entered lockdown in Litchfield, Northern Territory, so can only eat, drink and listen to ABC Footy. Have a great call, guys. Just finished reading a book on Mick Malthouse written by his daughter. Fantastic. 0437 774 774. Radio, books, all those things. Hope you can find those things to occupy yourself during the next few days.
Hawks bring it out to the wing. It comes back in for the Giants. Sam Reid with the footy. Here is Toby Green closing on goal and curling it home.
Almost on cue, wasn't it?
A rare opportunity for him today. He was involved in his first score of the game only moments ago, and then he puts it on his own boots and closes the gap to 9 points. Hawthorn 8-8, the Giants 7-5. 18 and a half minutes gone in the third term, and maybe that's the spark that gets him up and going for the day.
Well, people sitting at home listening won't realise his last 8 minutes has been through the roof. I mean, he hasn't had clean possession, but he's worked super hard and he's almost had his hand on it a fair few times, but he's been able to tackle, push the ball on in the Giants' advantage, and that goal sort of is a result of all that. And we know how good he is of a player. He can kick 3 goals in 5 minutes. So fingers crossed for the Giants that that's what's going to happen. But the momentum has shifted for the last 5 minutes of this quarter.
Yeah, because they've stopped the Hawthorn easy marks and easy run. Now, as I said, how do you know what hub life does to play? Because they're one of the few that we'd call in hub life at the moment. But nonetheless, they've arrested the easy run of the Hawks.
Briggs in the middle opposed to Segler. Segler just got a hand to it. Hopper goes through and wins it for the Giants, and they're coming again. More direct ball movement. Kick inside the 50. Back with a flight. Courageous there. Hardwick punched it down. At half forward, picked up by Himmelberg. He's caught. Gave to Lloyd. He brushes Day, who legged him surely. Free kick to GWS. He used his legs to tangle up around the legs of Lloyd. Lloyd the free kick, 55 from goal at left half forward.
The two players sitting centre half forward, now too late. Just the movement of the ball from outside 50 is just too slow.
And the worst thing is, he's going for a shot, so you don't want this to be the goal line that gets punched over.
Well, has he got the distance, do you reckon, Adam Tomlinson?
He's a great kick.
So Lloyd, from about 57, the kick has the distance, but he pulls it.
Of course, whenever you say that.
He arced out on the right and did exactly what you talked about in the first quarter. He pulled the kick, hit the left point post. It's out on the full. Jess Webster's down on the boundary.
Chad Wingard has just very slowly come to the bench, straight into the rooms with the Hawthorn physios, potentially a soft tissue injury. Sean Burgoyne's running along the boundary line, warming up, potentially will be activated into the game as the medical sub.
Thanks, Jess. Will Day cleared the defensive 50 for the Hawks, only as far as Cumming, who sent it back to full forward for the Giants. A big fly from Day at the front of the pack. A free kick going to the Hawks, and it will be, no, it won't be the South Australian, it'll be Sam Frost. Who will take it from fullback for Hawthorn. Chad Wingard really did amble across the ground when he came and made his way off. So a concern for Hawthorn there. Frost turned it over, coming outside the defensive 50. And then the Giants turned it over, going back toward the 50 as O'Meara intervenes for Hawthorn. Shoots the pass out wide to Howe. On by foot over the top to Warple. Now centre of the city, or the southern wing for Mitchell. 21 and a half gone here in this third term. Hawthorn 8-8, lead the Giants 7-5.
So Mitchell plays on, kicks as far as he can to the half-forward flank southern side. Kajitsky knocked it down. Bruce Droves, he's tackled, dispossessed. Howe for Hawthorn. Little dink kick around the boundary line. Davis in the road, gives to Kennedy. Kennedy attempts to spiral. It's a tumble punt. Sliding into mark is Mitchell. Winning a lot of the footy, Tom Mitchell. He kicks to half-forward, and Segler's got it. 52 from goal, open forward line. He went for McAvoy. McAvoy rises. Edged out, Perryman couldn't mark. Taranto gets a hand pass for the Giants to De Boer. Looping balls of beauty. A hand pass out in front of Whitfield. He runs into Granger Barras and fends away from him. Hand pass off to Hill. Hill bumped as he kicks it about 12 metres on the bounce to Himmelberg. He has a bounce. Forward of the members' wing, kicks towards half forward. Jath back with the flight. A tumbling mark for Hawthorn. A 9-point lead to the Hawks. 22-minute mark of the third quarter as he kicks back to Mitchell, who is working up and back and being rewarded with a stack of the footy.
He sends it to Howe, and Howe goes wide to Newcomb, who lopes out on the southern side wing, cuts it infield to McAvoy, who's 80 from home. What does the captain see? Goes into the centre, looking for Bramble, knocked away by Taranto. Giants take possession. Got it off to Kelly, now to Hill. Hill to De Boer, shoots the handball through the traffic to Whitfield, who runs in an arc in the centre of the ground and just loads up a tube inside the 50.
Silly play.
Mitchell and Green collided inside the arc. It was fitting that the tube went looking for Toby.
It was also his left foot. It was a left foot torpedo.
On the run.
Yeah, but look, just from here, as a coach, I never look at the ball. So I'm looking at the kicker and I'm looking in front. I'm seeing Mitchell just take Green right out, and you think, why? You've got 2v1. It just made no sense.
Just ran over him. And now Toby with a chance to go back-to-back in terms of goals for the Giants and drag them back to within 3 points of the Hawks. 23 gone, third term. Green comes in from 35 metres out and stabs it through.
And we talk about influential players, the great players who can influence contests. That's when the defender thinks differently. That's when they hold an arm, they grab, and that's sort of what's just happened then. He can impact a contest when it is 2v1, and the defenders just thought too much about it and taken him out of the contest illegally. And fortunately for Tobes, it's been another goal to him.
But how fantastic was Whitfield summing that up, though? Look in front, he's got not much to kick to. And he knows that a haphazard football there is going to at least cause...
You can't explain how hard it is. To sum up the situation under pressure, then kick a torpedo, but then kick a torpedo on your left foot. Yeah. It's a great effort.
Yeah. The acting captain dragging them back into it. Toby Green with his second. The Giants 8-5, the Hawks 8-8. 24 gone, third term.
Oh, it's been brilliant by the Giants to get back in this game. But they got back because of run.
Whitfield's run, exactly. That's what's created it.
From the middle, the Giants again. Ward now to the running Kelly. Kelly sizes it up. Goes inside 50. Briggs over the back. Couldn't take it. A chance for Hill, opposed to Jath, who held him without the ball, and the umpire blows his whistle for over the boundary line, a throw in. I thought there was a good case for a free kick to the Giants there in the forward pocket. It's 25 metres from the Giants' goal. They're 3 behind, having been as far back as 22 points in this term. Segler the tap down to O'Meara, clearing kick, bounces towards the boundary. Phillips there, tackled by Reid, got a hand pass out. Howe was in front of him. Howe kicks to the wing, O'Brien, hands to it, no mark, does collect on the bounce. Kicks around his body. Shields and Iden up at half forward. Iden palmed it down. Buckley, though, missed it. Shields goes and wins it. He missed it when he threw the right boot at it. Buckley paddles towards the boundary. Flynn is there, picks up, feeds the hand pass to Perryman. Off to Reid, a hand pass now to Whitfield. Here's one to the boundary line, creative to Haynes. Underground, even more creative. Kelly sweeps it infield to Whitfield. Whitfield off to Green. Green tries to get it towards Ward on the boundary. Giath belts it away from Daniels over the boundary line. 70 metres from the Giants' goal in front of the members' stand at the MCG. The Hawks by 3.
Yeah, one hand pass too many, especially when you're already broken up the defence. They are all over the shop, and that one hand pass really has helped Hawthorn.
Now it's really the Giants who are starting to run in waves at the ruck contest. Segler knocks it down. Hopper takes it at the stoppage. Free kick going the way of the Giants. The home side here at the MCG this afternoon. 3 goals in a row for the Giants as Hopper wheels away from 65 out, sends it to the goal square. Toby Green goes up. Kennedy does the roving, spins, feigns, handballs to Finlayson, hooks it around his body to fall forward. Daniels rises. It's built to Toby Green, who throws it over the shoulder. Has it got the carry? No. It's touched through right on the goal line. Toby's lurking. He's buzzing around. He's dangerous at the moment. So too are his Giants, who trail by 2 deep in the third.
Oh, there's a very, very slack.
Yeah, that's a poor bit of defending right there.
Scrimshaw just went straight down the middle. The centre half back Newcomb was all on his own and marked. He now kicks to the wing, and Phillips goes to half forward. O'Meara. It's opening up this passage for Hawthorn. The kick goes inside 50 and sliding in McAvoy. Boy marks about 49 from goal to the left of centre.
Yeah, again, too slow to get back the Giants, and well done by the Hawks to open that game up. He's not the quickest bloke off the lead, McAvoy.
McAvoy's going to sit it up. Out comes Tim O'Brien, can't take the mark. Newcomb gets it, he's tackled, dragged down top of the goal square. Umpire says mine. A ball up 15 metres from the Hawthorn goal. We're at the 28-minute mark of the third quarter. The Hawks are 8-8-56. The Giants 8-6-54 on Grandstand AFL.
Up they go at full forward. McAvoy wins it down, but it's taken by Perryman for the Giants. Tumbles it outside the defensive 50. Day left it for Hartigan. Handball to Warple. Lasers one to full forward. Buckley sliding in, not paid. Touched on the way through. As he went to ground at fullback for the Giants, he was wrapped up and will have another ball up deep inside forward 50 for Hawthorn at the punt road end. McAvoy reaches over the top of Flynn. It's taken by Perryman. Tumbling kick. Green on the up. Wonderful gather. Quick hands to Reed. Blast it to the members' side wing. But it's all Hawks getting back there. Warple shares it across the centre square. They can reload now through Hartigan.
Hartigan kicks out to the southern wing. Bramble dropped what he should have taken but had time. Kept his composure, picked it up, kicks to half forward, Moore and coming, slaps it away from Moore. It's over the boundary line, attacking side of the southern wing for the Hawks. As the seconds tick down to three-quarter time, Hawthorn by 2 points on Grandstand AFL.
Been a really solid contributor. You just know what you're going to get with him.
Segler down to Warple, throws it on the left boot, inside 50. McAvoy playing in front of Buckley, took the mark on his chest. 40 metres from goal and might have the last kick of the third quarter. McAvoy slowly going back. He'll start his approach from right half forward and will kick after the three-quarter time siren to extend Hawthorn's lead. It stands at 2 points at the moment. McAvoy, the Hawthorn captain, attempting to give the Hawks just that little bit of breathing space, but he misses on the right-hand side. So a 3-point margin Hawthorn's way at the final change on Grandstand AFL. A superb fight back from the Giants after they looked listless in the second term. The Giants kicked 3-2 to Hawthorn's 2-3 in the third, and the margin is 3 points. 8-9-57 Hawthorn. The Giants 8-6-54, far more direct with their ball use in that quarter. 2 goals to Toby Green in that term. He's really come into the game. Lloyd has a goal. Bobby Hill kicked 2 goals in the first quarter. Lloyd a goal in that quarter. A goal to Ward, a goal to Finlayson, and a goal to Perryman for the Giants. While for Hawthorn, 2 goals to Tim O'Brien. He's taken an absolute screamer in the second term today. Goals to Warple, McAvoy, Wingard, Phillips, Bruce and Moore. So a 3-point lead to the Hawks at three-quarter time. And remembering, if the Giants can claim a victory here, the men in orange will go into the AFL's top 8, and the two-time reigning premiers will be outside the 8 after 15 rounds of football. 0437 774 774 is the number if you'd like to touch base with us in the Grandstand commentary box. Tim from Bunbury has posed an interesting question that I'll put to Mick Malthouse and Adam Tomlinson very shortly on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Now, where was I up to in Fisk? Wait, I can set up a free ABC account. Charlie Pickering. Too easy. So from July, we'll need to log in to stream shows on ABC iView. It's easy to set up, and we'll be able to pick up watching where we left off, even if we switch from smart TV to mobile. Good for watching Bluey on lunch breaks.
For more information about your free ABC account, head to abc.net.au/ABC account.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
O'Meara crashes through for the Hawks, forces the footy forward. Phillips with a go, opposed to Haynes for the Giants in defence. Phillips a handball through the legs of McAvoy, spills to Wingard, off to Bruce, doesn't miss from here. Flynn wins it out in ruck, taken by Shields, handball to Howe, kicks to the pocket, the rise of Wingard. Quickly spins around on a dime and finishes beautifully. Chad Wingard. Kelly will roll onto his left boot from the front point of the square. Send it to full forward. Across came Hardwick to try and knock it down. It's spilt to Daniel Lloyd, who pounces on the opportunity for the Giants. Hawks bring it out to the wing. It comes back in for the Giants. Sam Reid with the footy. Here is Toby Green closing on goal and curling it home.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time at the MCG on a beautiful winter's afternoon. 8-9-57 Hawthorn, the Giants 8-6-54. Al Nicholson, Joel Peterson, Mick Malthouse, Adam Tomlinson and Jess Webster, your broadcast team at the MCG. We might quickly go down to Jess Webster because I have a feeling Hawthorn may have activated the medical sub. Jess, what can you tell us?
Not sure if it's official yet, but there was some confusion on the bench in the latter stages of that last quarter. Chad Wingard emerged from the rooms, got a bit of work done on his left hamstring, then was sort of running up and down the boundary at the same time that Sean Burgoyne was doing the same thing, trying to warm up. Chad shook his head to the trainers as if to say, I'm no good, and then both of them sat back down on the bench and wasn't sure whether or not the doctors have made the official call to rule Chad out. So I assume they're talking about it at length during this three-quarter time break. I did see Sean Burgoyne having a couple of shots at goal as well and doing some more warming up during that break. So it remains to be seen if it's officially been made, but it does seem to be that Chad Wingard will be ruled out for the remainder of the game.
Well, interestingly, Wingard is standing at the back of the huddle or to the side of it, and like a player who's sort of focused on the job and taking in the instruction at three-quarter time. So 8-9-57 Hawthorn, the Giants 8-6-54. I will pose Tim's question to Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse quickly before we get their thoughts at three-quarter time. Question for Mick or Tomo: if we are changing all these punishments, etc., for concussions and serious about it, why aren't we pushing for helmet use more? Seems the obvious choice. Can only think of Daniel and Brayshaw that wear them. Are they effective? Says Tim in Bunbury.
Well, I've been told they're not.
Well, Nathan Burke said that.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan Burke said that he was told that there was no scientific evidence to suggest him wearing a helmet would make him any safer on the field or prevent concussions, yet he was getting stacks of concussions and reckons the moment he started wearing one, he never got another.
But I wonder whether then it becomes an issue with the players around him that are just a little bit more cautious. And also, does a player with a helmet feel like you used to tape up your knee? And you tape up your knee, it had no bearing whatsoever, but it made you aware of your knee. So I'm half suspecting that players that wear them were told to by, a smashed collarbone, eye socket or something like that, and you wear it, and then you feel comfortable and you keep wearing them. But there's no scientific evidence. Now, I'm not a scientist, but only reading the play and what I've been told as a coach that those things are... in America, they made a gamer. They used to lead with the head, the Ronnie Lott sort of situation. And then they had to change that rule all over again. So, no clear evidence that they help because the brain itself will still bounce off your skull inside that
We were told the exact same thing. Mick, I've got one for you. Burgoyne's been injected into the game. The game's close. If he has a massive influence on the game...
Which he will.
You can argue, well... should the Giants be able to activate their sub or something as well? Because it's going to be a pretty good last quarter. And if you lose because they've got one fresh player in the last quarter...
And he's gone in the middle.
Yes.
You've almost got the good fortune of having an injury.
Well, I reckon the whole rule was set up too late without thought. It was supposed to be for concussion. Wingard hasn't got concussion. Bad luck, you play with three players on the bench.
As teams have for how
100
years. Exactly.
Well, they haven't, not for 100 years. We only had 19th and 20th.
Yeah.
So this is a rort.
This is a good conversation topic that we might get to again at the end of the game. The final term is underway. 3 points is the margin Hawthorn's way. Briggs out of the middle, works it to Whitfield. Burgoyne bumps it off him, his first involvement. Mitchell gets it, a hand pass out at centre half, back to Newcomb. The pride of Poowong kicks towards the wing. And the mark's taken by Phillips. Phillips to centre half forward over the head of Segler, but he doubles back and will pick up. Feeds a long left-handed hand pass to Day. Day front point of the square, kicks to the edge of 50. On the bounce, it's Howe who collects. He kicks to O'Brien on the lead and he marks on his chest. 35 out, 45-degree angle to the left.
Real worry there because no Giants players were able to pick up any one of those running players and then on the lead, trailed badly in. So not good, not early, good signs early, but good signs for the Hawks.
Tim O'Brien, having taken a screamer at this end of the ground, he's got 2 goals to his name. This for a third, no. Hawthorn can ill afford to waste opportunities. The Giants are showing signs that they're coming. 8-10-58 Hawthorn. Giants 8:6:54, a minute into the last quarter on Grandstand AFL. They're 6 minutes from a start in Perth. The clash between the Western Bulldogs and West Coast will be played in front of no one. Mitch Wallace is the medical sub, Jackson Nelson for the Eagles. No late change there, but unfortunately due to the COVID situation with a returning traveller from Sydney testing positive to the Delta variants. Restrictions imposed on Perth and Peel, and no crowd at the footy, which you would have to think would help the Western Bulldogs this afternoon.
Giants in possession on the wing after a big mark from Flynn. Handball to Kelly, who handballed it in, kicked it essentially to himself, then got it to Perryman, who sends the Giants to half forward. Sam Frost just volleyed it coming back the other way toward the interchange gates on the wing. Kelly came up, he couldn't take the mark, and it's over the line. Frost was on the edge of the defensive 50, a bouncing ball toward him, he thumped it back the other way. That was rather entertaining stuff. Taking a leaf out of the Euro 2020 book from the throw-in. Segler's been excellent today. Got it to Mitchell, tumbles it down the members' side wing. Davis gets across to take it, just lowers the shoulder into the oncoming Kajitsky and walks it across the boundary line at right half forward for Hawthorn at the city end. 2 minutes gone in the final term, the Hawks by 4.
At the throw-in. In front of the members' stand. Spins back in. Segler just, well, he nestled into Briggs and pushed him under the ball, and the umpire said it was more of a push than a nestle, if you know what I mean. So Briggs the free kick off to Perryman. Perryman kicks from the members' wing towards the half-forward flank. Frost well placed here, couldn't take it. Tapped down by Flynn. Day, though, collects for Hawthorn. A hand pass to Scrimshaw, off to Jath. Had his legs taken by Finlayson as he got his kick towards the wing. It was touched on the way through. Lloyd was tackled, dispossessed by Shields. Over at Segler, Briggs over him. The ball rumbles out of the pack through the hands of Shields. Phillips now to Newcomb. Newcomb kicks to vacant pastures at half forward. Davis there for the Giants. Picks up, feeds his hand pass laterally. Coming. Kicks towards centre half back, and Whitfield feeds it back to a running coming through centre half back he goes.
Couple of running machines, and coming sent it toward Daniels, who works Scrimshaw under the footy, spills into the centre, taken by Hardwick, got it away to Day for the Hawks. Handball out wide to Howe. Now the run of Scrimshaw, left foot kick, lasers one to Tom Mitchell at left half forward for Hawthorn. 55 metres from home, the Brownlow medalist has got it. Back to Scrimshaw, inside the 50, Newcomb, low down marks, 47 from home.
Yeah, a lot of I've got to say this, there's a lot of lazy tired players. I'll say tired players, hands on knees by the Giants. Again, I'll just say I don't know what, hub life is not easy. And what do they do with themselves over the whole week? But they just, I know they had a good last part of the third quarter, but Hawthorn easy possessions at the moment.
John Newcomb in his third game from 52 metres out, lets it go. The set shot's a beauty. And the Hawks swoop in from everywhere to celebrate with their mid-season draftee, who lines one up from long range and blasts through his first AFL goal. Certainly is, in this moment, the pride of Poowong doing good things on the big stage. Hawks by 10 points, 9-10-64. The Giants 8-6-54. It's a big goal in the context of his career, but also in the context of the game.
Well, it works in front of them for the Giants just to see if they can re-energise themselves. Got to keep throwing fresh players at the midfield, and of course, on the converse side of that, the Hawks have got to maintain this spread and run and stretch the life out of the Giants.
So the Giants with the job ahead, but with the great prize ahead of a top 8 berth if they can find a way. Briggs and Segler stalk one another in the middle. Briggs the tap down, Warple over it. We'll have a secondary ball up. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Granger Brass has spent a few minutes inside the Hawks rooms. He's just re-emerged, sat on the back of the Hawks bench, put the jumper on. He's done for the day. I'm not quite sure what the injury is, but obviously he had a knee injury earlier in the year, so it could be related to that. I'll try and find out some more information and come back to you.
Thanks, Jess. Disappointing for the young West Australian, picked 6 in the draft, and Hawthorn's 8th player to make his debut this season. Again, no takeaway from the middle of the ground A 10-point lead to the Hawks. 6-minute mark of the last quarter. You're with Grandstand AFL from the MCG.
I reckon you'd like what you saw from him today if you're a Hawks fan,
word.
though. In Denver Granger Barras, back in the middle. Burgoyne took it. Took Toby Green in the tackle and will be rewarded with a free kick. The ball was socked to half forward for the Hawks.
We've got an unnamed listener text in from Cambridge, New Zealand. Burgoyne on the field for the final quarter. Time for a bit of class. Come on, Hawks. Stay safe, Melbourne. Thank you for those thoughts.
Absolutely. Great to have people listening all around the world via the AFL app. Burgoyne roosts one inside the 50. More at the feet of the pack. Tackled by the opposite 36 in Perryman. Umpire rushes in, brings a halt to proceedings and will ball it up. 40 from the Hawks goal. They lead by 10. 6.5 gone. Final term at the G.
Yeah, the Hawks still got the 1+ behind the ball. This is where Giants have got to negate that player by stealth, if you like.
Whitfield wins it from the back half, kicks it into the middle. Hardigan, though, leaps over the top.
That's 2-on-1.
Yeah, you called it.
Segler and Hardigan. Segler engaged with Finlayson and Hardigan flew over the top to mark. He kicks Hawthorn inside the attacking 50. Was there holding on against Davis on McAvoy? No, said the umpire. It comes to the back. O'Brien had it, lost it. Bruce goes through, off to Mitchell, off a step. His kick smothered. The ball in the forward pocket for the Hawks. Whitfield taps towards the boundary line. It goes out of play. Hawks in attack, left forward pocket, 30 from goal. Oh, it's getting tense now.
I want to get Isaac coming back on the ground in the half-back line. He provides a lot of run, and Whitfield just an extra partner for him to band together and sort of run that ball out of defence.
Huge stakes for the Giants. If Hawthorn finds one here, it'll be very difficult. Briggs belts it out of the ruck towards the defensive 50. Daniels runs onto it, tackled by Jath. Got a hand pass out to Haynes. Off to Kelly, spins 360, hand pass to Taranto. Back to Kelly, runs to the southern wing and feeds it forward to De Boer.
De Boer's hemmed in, goes back to Kelly by hand, who now has to retreat defensively to Haynes in line with the back edge of the centre square, between the square and the boundary on the southern side.
They didn't have to do that. They did not have to do that. There was a Giant player free behind the line. They had looked up.
Haynes blasts it up the wing. Segler rises, can't take it. Scrimshaw's at the back, been excellent for Hawthorn today. Handball off to Day, now to Moore, centre of the southern wing. Busts through a couple of tackles. Handball back to Day. Steps around Daniels. Gets it on the left boot. Low kicks precise to half forward. McAvoy's out to mark. Handball off to Moore. Lines them up from 50 and kicks a big Hawthorn goal. Dylan Moore drives through his second. And he might be driving Hawthorn to a big win here at the MCG. 10-10-70 the Hawks. The Giants 8-6-54. 9 minutes gone. Final term.
Now that's off the back of the Giants' ball movement then. They had a chance to go quick, go forward, and they stopped. They went backwards. And again, Hawthorn's structure behind the ball, they're outnumbered. They work so hard to get to the contest. And from there, they just slung shot the ball back the other way.
Yeah, their vulnerability is quick ball movement.
Yep.
But what they eat up is slow movement because they're just such a good marking side.
Mick Moldhausen, Adam Tomlinson are your experts this afternoon on Grandstand AFL. So the Giants have been playing catch up for the second half after they got out to a 4-goal lead in the first quarter, kicked the opening 4 goals of the game. It's been Hawthorn since, and out of the middle, Brewster's gone in. He gets a hand pass, but Ward wins it for the Giants. Off to Kelly, by hand to Whitfield. Whitfield goes a right foot barrel. He can barrel on both feet, inside 50. Himmelberg up, can't mark. Frost Roves tackled, slung, got a hand pass out. De Boer runs onto it, couldn't take it with him. Now little soccer goes through the legs of Segler. Taranto gets it off to Briggs, top of the 50. His kick smothered. Finlayson gets it. Hand pass towards Whitfield. Warple on his hammer. Knocked him out of the way. Day swoops. Hand pass to Bruce. Hawks on the counter. Off to O'Meara. Long hand pass. Off to McAvoy. He sweeps it to Bramble near the AFL logo. Cuts back in field. Kicks towards centre half forward and beyond and more. He's kicked 2. And as that chap on the old television ads used to say, I know you want more. More for his third, and this would just about bury GWS. And with it, the prospect of the Giants going into the AFL's top 8. More on approach. 40 metres out, puts the right boot through it and produces the right result for Hawthorn. They go to have a chat, the goal umpire and the field umpire.
Hawks players haven't moved, Al. I reckon they've said it's touched the post.
Okay. Now I reckon that's been conveyed by the goal umpire to the field umpire.
The umpire thinks it's a behind, so I think they'll have to overturn it with evidence that it's a goal.
So they've gone to the arc.
If it's a behind, I wouldn't see this ball go straight down the middle, or just something that's more direct, because they've gone to the pocket every time, and all the teams will give you the pocket because that's where they want to hem you in.
But have a look at this though, Adam. When the kicker, if it's a point, watch the Greater Western City kicker will have two players in front of him, so he can't play on and get that first 15 metres.
The arc shows a spike. So there's a spike on AFL Edge. And the theory concocted in the box between Adam Tomlinson, Mick Malthouse and Joel Peterson is now confirmed on the scoreboard that has scraped the post. And there's still a bit of life in GWS if they can find some life, some energy, some direction. They trail by 17 points at the 12-minute mark of the last, and you got your wish. Coming straight down the pipe.
Yeah, low kick down the middle, but it's all Hawthorn out the back. Offhand, Scrimshaw. Back to Harding and a nervous kick defensively to Howe, now to the members' wing. Howe shares it with Bramble, who takes the mark and he's off with a bounce. Running through right half forward. Hill closes in. Bramble sends it to the pocket. Moore's there again. Over the top was Lloyd. Conspires with Davis to see it out of play. Deep inside forward 50 for the Hawks.
Well, this ball's going to stay in the front half for the Hawks the way it's being played at the moment. Lest the Giants start to play smart
Hawthorn
football.
by 17. Moore took it off the pack, hooks it around the body to full forward. Davis out to meet it for the Giants. Couldn't take it with him. Howe slides in, so too Haynes. Kajitsky lays him in a tackle. Umpire circles, ball spills free. Clearing kick out toward Whitfield, hemmed in along the boundary line. Scrimshaw pretty happy to see it over and out for a throw-in.
5-minute mark opening term in Perth. The Western Bulldogs 1-3-9. West Coast yet to score. Listeners in Tassie and the NT will go there at the completion of this match. Listeners in South Australia off to the build-up. Carlton and Adelaide from Docklands. The ball's at the top of the 50 for Hawthorn. Picked up by Scrimshaw. Hand pass to Shields. Off to Moore, who's in everything. His kick's smothered, though. Well done by De Boer. Still to be won. Burgoyne gets it. Gives to Shields. High up and under to centre half forward. Out they come. On up goes Flynn and takes a very good mark for GWS and feeds the hand pass off to Ward. A lateral kick to Haynes. Haynes, it's almost like just giving the responsibility to move the ball forward to someone else. Haynes goes short. Kennedy marks. Defensive side of the members' wing. Goes into the corridor and pulls the trigger on a critical kick and finds Hopper. Hopper away to Reid. Reid to centre half forward and Green takes the mark. Man on the mark is 51 from goal. Toby Green directly in front.
Nothing to kick to.
What about the barrel, Toby? Instead he goes the chip pass out wide. Inside 50 within range. The mark taken by Lloyd, but he's on a tight angle.
You're right, Mick. That was about his only option there.
Well, I looked up and there were two tall players and one small player. I don't know if it was Daniel or not, but he didn't need a step ladder to get anywhere near it. So that's the right choice kick unless he's going to go a barrel.
Lloyd's kicked one goal this afternoon. He's about 40 metres out. He starts his approach at right half forward. To the punt road end. Kicks from 49 metres. Kick looks good off the boots. Oh, that is a superb kick at just the right time for the Giants.
I said it earlier in the day. He's a beautiful kick at the footy. You just kick the other one out of bounds on the full. But if we go back, we spoke about, shifting the responsibility to move the ball forward. Adam Kennedy had some real courage in kicking that ball inside 50. And from there, Sam Reid got the handball and hit up Toby. And then obviously it was the inside 50 kick to Daniel Lloyd. But it was that courage to kick the ball on the 45-degree angle right to the middle of the ground that started it.
That was the game breaker. It hit Hopper in the centre circle and away they went. And Lloyd draws the Giants back within 11 points at the 15-minute mark of the last. It's 10-11-71. Hawthorn, the Giants 9-6-60.
Yeah, and you're right about that kick. That's probably the first time for a long time that the Hawks actually didn't occupy that centre circle because that's where it went.
Cast your mind back a couple of weeks ago to when they played North down in Tassie. The man who dragged them back, none other than Daniel Lloyd. He might have started something here at the MCG from the restart. O'Meara chases after it. Kennedy's involved again for the Giants. Handball up to Hopper. Just steps around Warple. Burst away from the stoppage. Handball went looking for Green. Was taken coming the other way by Hardwick for the Hawks. He had it dislodged. Jath goes in. Tumbles it outside the defensive 50. Briggs goes to ground. Taken in the tackle. Umpire says, I'll have it.
They were almost there. That handball was just a touch short.
So right on the front point of the square for the Giants, who trail by 11 points halfway through this final term, needing a win to move into the AFL's top 8. From the stoppage, Shields to Burgoyne to Mitchell, all by hand. Now back to Burgoyne at left half back. Activated as the injury sub at the start of the last term. Kicks the southern side wing. Kajitsky got out the back. Paddled it forward for Hawthorn only as far as the boundary line. We'll have a throw in left half forward for the Hawks. 75 out from their goal.
Just wondering whether... Actually, I can now see 6 forwards. I'm just wondering whether they've been told this is it. Stay forward and occupy the defence.
Segler took it out of the ruck, gave to Shields. Shields a wobbler inside 50 for Hawthorn. Iden there to collect for GWS. His hand pass hits the ground. Perryman did well. Hand pass to Cumming. He was under pressure. Now to Ward. Ward into the middle. They're going for broke. De Boer. Hand pass away. Still they come through. Hopper. A bounce through the middle. A hand pass forward. Running onto it, Kelly, not quite Day there with him to slap it away. Hardigan now over it, couldn't get a handle on it. Picked up by Kelly. Kelly's hand pass off to Flynn. Hand pass out to Hill. Burgoyne pursues. Hill 40 from goal. Hand pass to Ward. Ward runs inside 50. Squaring ball to the teeth of goal. They need a mark. Back with a flight. Flynn couldn't take it. Jath got it. Tackled by Kelly. Hand pass out to Shields. He clears to the halfback flank and finds McAvoy.
McAvoy on over the top, sets Warple a task, got crashed into by Davis, and a free kick going the way of the Hawk. 11 points the Hawthorn lead, 18 gone in the final term. They trailed by 16 at quarter time. They've held sway since, by 8 at the half, by 3 at three-quarter time. Warple sends it down the members' side towards Segler. Haynes takes it off the pack. Handball to Cumming, handball to Hopper. He kicks on the AFL logo for Himmelberg, who rises and marks. Shields was late to intervene, slapped the footy away from him.
Hopper's lifted this quarter.
Yep.
And Harry Himmelberg's got it just in front of the AFL logo members' side.
And Lockie Whitfield's looking to come back on.
Yeah, the Hawks have got the extra 2 down there. Just use the short. No, they've used the longer game.
Himmelberg sends it inside 50 in front. Frost couldn't mark. Jath's hand pass out into dangerous space. Hardigan gave to McAvoy under pressure. His hand pass to Jath. Jath floats a right foot kick, out of defence. Howe back with a flight, couldn't take it. Himmelberg pounces. Hand pass to Kennedy. Feeds the hand pass to Whitfield. Fresh on the ground for the Giants. Squares it up. Kajitsky got a hand in, knocked it away from Ward. Burgoyne wins it off to Mitchell, off to Moore. He's tackled, dispossessed. Tapped out by Taranto. Davis spins through a tackle. Out to Whitfield. Rode the bump from Howe superbly. His kick skids along the ground. Good pick up by Briggs. Off to Taranto. Hand pass to Hill. Cut through one. Off to Daniels. Off to Ward. Ward a chance to snap. He curls it through for a goal. Callan Ward kicks his second from 40 metres out. And what looked in tatters is now starting to blossom again for GWS. The possibility is there. They trail by 5, 10-11-71 to 10-6-66, 20-minute mark, final quarter.
Now, for people listening, the Giants have put Lockie Whitfield ahead of the ball, so he's going up to stoppage and generating that run in front of the ball. And people also don't realise how tough he is. He copped a big hit, wore it, and then was able to dispose of the ball. And he's a super player. He's gifted with talent and courage, and he had it on display then.
Oh, he's been
the best player.
He's been outstanding. Green going into the middle now too. So they're really throwing everything at the Hawks. This is probably the roll or the dice they need, is to get their best players up around the ball and see if they can reduce that and then make it there's only 7 minutes left, so fight it out from there.
31 disposals for Lockie Whitfield, having a profound influence as the Giants roar back into the contest. From the restart, O'Meara has a go. Slapped forward by McAvoy for the Hawks, up towards centre half forward. Chasing after it is Flynn, diving in his Haynes. Free kick, high contact, going to the Giants. And Big Matty Flynn, who's got it on the defensive arc. Handball's off to Kennedy, who scoots away, flares the kick wide for Iden. He pops it on over the top under pressure. Phillips there to intervene. Whitfield knocked it away from him, but gave away a free kick.
Did he?
Almost had to just come in with some kind of desperation. And Phillips has got it for Hawthorn on the southern side. Hawks by 5 points, 21 gone here in the final term. They're still in possession, and it's Will Day with the footy.
Day goes as long as he can into the forward pocket. Kazitsky from the side takes the mark. O'Brien looked the likely target. He toppled over with Flynn and also Whitfield. And in from the side came Kazitsky to mark. 40 from goal. He's about 10 metres in from the boundary to the left. He's walking back with intent.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you put the ball in there when you've got players that can mark like that? They've got 2 or 3 like that. And as you say, Adam, do the work early.
Hasn't kicked a goal today, Jacob Kazitsky. Now would be a very handy time to put one through for Hawthorn. It's across the face. Flynn will try and kill it through for a behind. The margin is 6 points. Hawthorn's way. 22-minute mark of the final term on Grandstand AFL at the MCG. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Adam Tomlinson, one of our experts, played in the game at York Park when these two teams played in a draw a few years ago.
Got a bit of a history of playing in draws, the Giants. Stumped outside the defensive 50. Jath Rose for Hawthorn. Locked up on the outer wing. Players take a breather momentarily as we'll get a ball up.
Two draws in a row, these games.
Yeah. The Giants have got to reorganise because their forward line is shambles again.
Well, Hawthorn had 8 players inside the centre square when they were kicking out then. It was just too many numbers. You can't go through the middle.
10-6 plays 10-12 from the stoppage. Mitchell tries to burst his way through. He's stopped as well. And we will have another ball up. The Giants have kicked 2 goals, 2 here in this final term. The Hawks with 2 of their own. Giath has a go from the stoppage. It's paddled in his direction. Mitchell goes in. Newcomb extricates it for the Hawks. Burgoyne, Mitchell only had it hit the end of his toe. It trickled away to Kennedy, who handballed to Whitfield for the Giants. Sends it wide, rising his Day over the top of Brent Daniels. Pulls it in, defensive side of the southern wing.
Day goes short to Jath. Jath near the boundary line. Southern wing for Hawthorn. No urgency. Not keen to run and explore here, although now he does play on Jath. Jath's kick to a big pack inside the 50 and sliding in, taking the mark is Haynes. Defeats that defensive hand pass and Kennedy goes bursting forward, a kick into the middle of the ground. Hardigan and Green. Green rises, hands to it, no mark. Burgoyne at the back. Green knocked him off it. Hardigan spins in and picks up though for Hawthorn. Hand pass to Howe on the logo. Sends a low kick to the half-forward flank and Bramble marks. Lost coming, plays on, used it beautifully to Moore. 40 metres out to the right of centre. Moore's had a profound influence as well for Hawthorn today. He's been excellent. We'll go down to Jess Webster on the boundary.
Just an update on Granger Brass. It is actually a suspected concussion, but he hasn't finished his full assessment yet, so still waiting to find out if he will be ruled out for the remainder of the game. But he has done a concussion test and we're waiting on the results.
Thanks, Jess. So Moore on approach to the city end. The Hawthorn cheer squad waits in hope as the kick is on its way and hope turns to sheer joy as he kicks it through for his 3rd. And Hawthorn has a 12-point buffer. 24-minute mark, final term on Grandstand AFL. Hawthorn 11-12-78. GWS 10-6-66 in Perth. The Western Bulldogs being wasteful early against West Coast. 1-6-12 to the Eagles, 1 straight 6 through 17 minutes.
That contest right in front of us was probably the one that the Giants needed. Toby Green got his hands on it. It ricocheted off a Hawthorn shin, and because they had the extra number, they were able to get that ball out. And it was an extra number. The old saying, take a photograph of the contest. If you're outnumbered, your chances are very slim to move it. And the Hawks had that extra number there. So that goal came as a result of the Hawks' workload, really.
Dylan Moore with 3. Meanwhile, Tom Phillips has come to the bench with blood all over the back of his jumper and gashing out the back of his head for Hawthorn.
From the restart, here is Dylan Moore, moved into the middle, farmed the handball up to Mitchell, handball off to Bramble, Moore goes inside, forward 50, and the Hawks fans say we'll have more of that. 4 goals for Dylan Moore. What a day, what a last quarter he's having. And the Hawthorn fans here at the MCG, it might be a Giants home game, but they're roaring with delight. 18 points the lead of the Hawks. 12-12-84, the Giants 10-6-66. And with 3 minutes left, you'd think Hawthorn's done enough now.
Yeah, from half time, quarter time onwards, it's been 10 goals to 5, and really it's been spasmodic by the Giants. They look good in second, in bits and pieces of the quarter, but the Hawks have been more consistent, more numbers, and taking their chances.
And they've just worked harder generally all day.
Career best 4th goal for Dylan Moore as well. That is some impressive stuff. From the middle, the Hawks again. They want more, absolutely do they. O'Brien, inside 50, it goes over the back. And Haynes takes the mark. Haynes kicks to the wing, back with a flight to Bohr, had it belted away by Day. Day goes hard at Kennedy, paddles it forward, Bramble there, bumped off it. Mitchell goes in. It comes to the side, Taranto can't rip it away. The umpire will call for a ball up 60 metres from the Hawthorn goal at right half forward. 27-minute mark of the last quarter, an 18-point lead to Hawthorn. The Hawks on the brink of their 4th win of the season. Segler tapped it down straight to Taranto, hand pass to no one in particular. Day picks up, rush to tackle, balks Taranto, this kid's a star. He kicks inside the attacking 50, hands to it in front, Cumming, knocks it out of play, 25 metres out from goal. Right forward pocket, the crowd posted at 9,897. And they cheer as Will Day makes his way to the bench. All of them in full voice at the moment. Segler takes it out of the ruck inside the forward 50. Hopper jams it on the boot away from the stoppage. Ward rises, stretches and marks and runs away through the centre of the MCG. Takes a bounce on the right boot, sends it inside the 50 to Briggs, who marks just inside the arc. Got a whack as he took it, and he'll go strutting to the goal line.
Has to, yeah. Unnecessary, particularly at this stage of the game. You don't play cautious, but if your opposition's marked it.
Briggs drills it from the top of the square after the 50. The Hawks fans boo and maybe just feel a little bit nervous with a couple of minutes remaining. The Giants 12 points in arrears, 72 plays 84. 29 minutes gone in the final term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse.
Quick ball movement. I know we've been calling it for all day for the Giants, and when they do that, they look so much a better side. The Hawks have been very, very impressive, though. They're certainly not a side. What did you say, Joel? This is their 4th victory. You look at the team they've got. No wonder they can get the ball in there long into their forward line, because 2 or 3 of them are capable of taking the big marks. Their backline's solid, their midfield's solid, and yet they've only got 4 wins. It's really amazing.
The Giants trying to open up sort of the corridor here. The wingmen have pressed forward, so they're just going to throw everything they've got here.
From the bounce in the middle of the ground, attacking it goes McAvoy, and he wins the ball. The captain hand passes forward to Moore. His hand pass to Mitchell. Spins and looks defensively by hand to McAvoy. He sweeps it out to the southern wing. Shields for Hawthorn. They're controlling this. Kick goes to Mitchell. Attacking side of the southern wing. Maintaining possession and critically chewing seconds off the clock. Umpire tells Mitchell to move it. Then he goes long inside the attacking 50. Segler nudged under the ball. O'Brien was there, couldn't take it. O'Meara rove, tackled by Whitfield. The umpire will ball it up 35 metres from the Hawthorn goal. The Hawks 12-12-84. GWS 11-6-72 through 30 minutes of the last quarter. It might be a young side, Hawthorn, but they're not short on players who know how to close out a contest from the throw-up. It spills away to O'Meara, who adds a little bit of icing to the cake. Bursting away from the stoppage, receives the handball from Bruce, snaps it through on the right boot. And Hawthorn closing out what's been a very profitable day for them here at the MCG in style. 13-12-90. The Giants 11-6-72. 31 minutes played in the final term.
Well, that they say are in about round 13-14. If the 8 is the 8, it's just about set. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? It's just... I know history just keeps repeating itself time and time again. Best side out of the 8 is Essendon. And they probably took a little bit of time to adjust to Ben Rutten's game style. But certainly the Giants have been major disappointments.
McAvoy the tap down. The rove of Mitchell, hand pass, pinched by Hopper, works it forward by hand. Burgoyne in the road. 7 possessions down the last quarter for him. He certainly had an influence. Skip goes to Howe. Howe marks members wing for the Hawks. Sean Burgoyne, who will play his 400th game next weekend against his former club, Port Adelaide. Howe kicks towards half forward. O'Brien was there and Kajitsky. Off the hands of Kajitsky, it goes out of play. 55 metres from goal. Umpire Ian Burrows from the ABC to throw it back in. I've neglected to mention him today, so there's a late mention. Thrown in. No decisive knock. O'Meara gets it off to Howe. Howe's tumble punt inside the 50. Haynes knocked it down. Kajitsky roved it, gives a hand pass out. Bramble spins. Hand pass over his head. No one there for Hawthorn. Socket out of defence. Howe will win it for the Hawks. Handball off to Burgoyne. Off to Giath, who's almost run down, slips the traffic. Handball back to Burgoyne, back to Giath, one of their young stars. Kicks inside the 50 to end an afternoon that gave you a lot to like if you're a Hawthorn fan. They ride the challenge of the Giants and win by 18.
We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bunts with a grin at Hawthorn. Come what may, you'll find us striving. Teamwork is the thing that talks. One for all and all for once, the way we play at Hawthorn. We are the mighty, mighty Hawks.
The Giants opened with the first 4 goals of the game, knowing that the stakes were high. They win and they went inside the 8. The Hawks kicked the next 2. They kicked all 4 in the second term and led by 8 at half-time. The Giants fought their way back into the third. We had a game on our hands going into the last, but a final quarter burst of 3 goals from Dylan Moore led Hawthorn to victory, 13-12-90. The Giants 11-6-72. A big opportunity lost for GWS.
We're the mighty fighting Hawks. We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps with a grin at Hawthorn. Come what may, you'll find us striving. Teamwork is the thing that talks. One for all and all for once, the way we play at Hawthorn. We are the mighty fighting Hawks.
Terrific afternoon for the Hawthorn Football Club. Winners all over the ground. 13-12-90, 11-6-72. The Hawks deliver a hammer blow to the Giants' finals aspirations. The opportunity was there for the Giants. Richmond, having lost here a couple of nights ago in surprise fashion to St Kilda, but the Giants unable to produce. And they walk away in defeat and remain out of the 8. 4 goals to Dylan Moore, 3 of those in the last quarter. He was so influential. O'Brien a couple, Bruce, Phillips, Wingard, O'Meara, McAvoy and Warple kicked goals for the Hawks, along with John Newcomb, who kicked his first AFL goal. 2 goals to Green, both of those in the third term when the Giants were fighting back. 2 goals to Ward, 2 goals to Hill, both of those in the first quarter when the Giants had held sway. 2 goals to Lloyd and singles to Finlayson, Briggs and Perryman. Over in the West, the Western Bulldogs' inaccuracy has returned in a big way. They're controlling the game against the Eagles, but only lead by 13 points despite having 10 shots to 2. 2 goals, 8, the Western Bulldogs. West Coast 1-1-7. That's at the 27-minute mark of the first quarter. Listeners in Tassie and the Northern Territory, in 12 minutes' time, we'll send you west for second quarter action West Coast and the Western Bulldogs, the Dogs by 13 points. If you're listening in South Australia, we're going to take you in 12 minutes' time to Docklands, the build-up to this afternoon's match, the last clash of round 15, Carlton and Adelaide. So Patrick Cripps signing on for 6 years during the week. We'll wait to see whether that proves positive for Carlton on the field, just as it was off the field, and Adelaide have had some good moments this year. Can they produce this afternoon against the Blues? So that's what's ahead. Before we get there, we'll get the thoughts of Adam Tomlinson and Mick Malthouse on this afternoon's contest at the MCG. We'll get you in for the Hawks song and hopefully have a winner before most of you depart for an interview as well. Adam and Mick, over to you.
Ed, do you want just off air, you're talking about trying to work out who the votes go to, and it's a difficult day.
Yeah, it is. So ideally, if you could mash Ben McAvoy and John Segler together, you'd have one unbelievable play. But I thought Segler's working the ruck today. He had 29 hit-outs. He worked so hard from stoppage, which gave them another outlet, and then having McAvoy in the forward line to kick to, I thought it was really beneficial. But I actually thought John Segler was a really good player. Sorry, he played a really good game today. The way he worked was sort of superior to the ruckman.
Yeah,
on the grid.
I just looking at it, there's a lot of things that we don't really understand, and the inconsistency of goal of Greater Western Sydney has been evident right through probably the last 2 or 3 seasons. But what we don't understand is the effect of being in a hotel room, training on a foreign ground. This is your home ground. Only by the fact that you were named first, because your home ground is actually in New South Wales. There's no doubt this result on the other end of the coin. I feel that the Giants would have won up there. So the effects of COVID is having a massive effect on the results, and in many respects, positions on the ladder. Look, I'm even looking at next week. South Australia have closed their borders to Western Australia, Queensland, New South Wales. So, we're going to have all these games going around all over the place. Yes, we were stuck in Queensland last year. And I'll make a political statement. We've got to get vaccinated, and we've got to treat this like a bad flu, because we're going to have people treating this like we are one, which we're not, because there's too many premiers that think they're the number one. And we've got to get the system where we can all be Australian and play our games and this sort of stuff, because at the moment we've got a lot of selfish people out there that just say, no, we're not being vaccinated. And we've got people who are nervous Nellies who are saying, even if with vaccination, we can't travel and this sort of stuff. So at the end of the day, the AFL have got massive problems in trying to get these games. And I really do feel that perhaps today is more evidence of the case that Greater Western Sydney have been denied a home game. They played like a side that was stuck in a hotel. In Victoria at the moment, you're not stuck in a hotel, but you are in a hotel, you're away from home, and that came very, very quickly. And it was evident right through the match, hands on knees, they just looked tired. Take nothing away from Hawthorn. They have got a side of the future. There's no question. Some of those kids are going to be fantastic. And the top-end players of age group, the ones, and Hawthorn have got a great record of recruitment. So they're on the march, and 4 wins, even if they finish with 8 or 9 wins this season, it won't get them in the 8, but it'll set them up for next year. And I'm deeply impressed in a lot of their kids today, but I'm still trying to work out what impact mentally and physically a hub life has. And you can answer that.
I think there's 2 things to it. There's, you're not in your natural environment. They're not in Sydney living their own homes. They're in a hotel. Secondly, the excitement of being in Melbourne. And a lot of the boys are from Melbourne, and so they go out and they do sort of more activities.
On their feet?
Yeah, exactly. They're on their feet a lot more throughout the day, throughout the week, and their minds are consumed by a lot more than sort of that they need to be. But look, we're just sitting here talking about it. You never know what's actually going on, but as young players, I remember when I was in my 2nd and 3rd year, we travelled to Melbourne. It was so exciting because I got to catch up with friends, family, and a lot of the time we played poor footy. But you'd like to think that this was spoken about.
You played poor footy, you reckon, because of your lead-up from the getting away from the norm of being in your home state with training?
I think it just takes time to realise what is so important in your week into the lead up of a game. So I think that is a big thing. But as you said, I thought Hawthorn were terrific today. The way they moved their ball, their structure behind the ball was phenomenal. I think Kyle Hardigan coming back into the side is so important for them. He's so strong and a really good leader down there.
In terms of the futures for Hawthorn, we talked about, and you mentioned, Mick, they're probably just about the best marking side in the competition. It was interesting to watch Alistair Clarkson walk out onto the ground and give the Hawthorn fans the thumbs up, and the man standing next to him, James Sicily. Jack Gunston's down there as well for Hawthorn. So, these young players...
Sicily will come through, but Gunston's, late 20s. Yep. Bruce didn't have a big impact.
There's a lot of aerial power. I mean, if you're a Hawthorn fan watching today, there's a lot to like about what they did.
And they're prepared to be... They've shown a willingness to be ruthless with players previously. Rob McCartney, the head of football, has said publicly on Grandstand AFL that every lever of list management will be pulled by Hawthorn in the off-season when it comes to securing the best talent they need to go forward. But it would appear that some of the very good talent already exists on the list. Quarter time in Perth. The Western Bulldogs 2-8-20, West Coast 1-1-7. Bontempelli and McRae have both had 10 disposals in the first quarter and Bailey Smith 9. So that gives you a little sense of how the Western Bulldogs have carved up West Coast to such an extent, but they've been errant with their goal kicking. Listeners in Tassie and the Northern Territory, in 5 minutes' time, we're sending you to Perth Stadium for second quarter action there. Listeners in South Australia, you'll be going to Docklands, the build-up to this afternoon's match between the Crows and the Blues. Yoshi in North Hobart on the text, 0437 774 774. Great win for Hawthorn. Should have beaten Essendon last week too, so maybe the Hawks, the best team outside the 8 now after some diabolical games earlier in the season, says Yoshi. Joe in Avoca, great win to the Hawks. Poor old New South Wales and its AFL teams are now carrying the COVID can. Maybe the 2 gold Tigers are still a chance, says Joe. Yes, what was an extraordinary thing that happened here on Friday night. The Tigers kicking only 2 goals.
The 2 gold Tigers, not a bad little name.
Yeah,
actually.
Well done, Joe. I'm not sure it's going to stick because Richmond aren't going to be the 2 gold Tigers for very long, I can assure you of that, especially when they play Gold Coast on Thursday night. So we'll wait and see whether
2
the
goals
Tigers
in the first 2 minutes maybe
bounce back in a big way there. We need to get the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year, and we'll try and get you the song very shortly on Grandstand AFL.
Votes?
You want to do the votes, Mick?
Get them done.
Do the honours.
So I'll go from bottom up. Scrimshaw, I know this is, I haven't spoken to Adam about this, but I just thought Scrimshaw was very, very good for one.
Yep.
I thought Day just an excitement machine, and when you needed him most, and this is Tom Mitchell with 40, but I'm not giving him a vote. I've gone Scrimshaw, Day, and Whitfield to me was best on the ground.
Okay, so Whitfield, the 3. Now, we do just have 3 minutes, Jess Webster, before we have some listeners departing. So if you want to do a quick one-on-one downstairs, I can see you ready to go. Jess.
Yeah, thanks, Al. I've got Ben McAvoy with me. That was such an incredible performance, a really hard-fought win. You must be incredibly proud of the playing group today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, couldn't be prouder, and especially having a first gamer in. Really enjoyable to get his first win. Also, Lockie Bramble missed out last week, so that's always exciting for us old guys to see young guys making their way in the game and getting their first win.
And since the bye, you guys have smashed Sydney and then you really pushed Essendon right to the wire last week, and now you've come out and beat a quality side in the Giants. Can you talk us through the growth that you've seen in this group over the season, and I guess are we going to expect more exciting footy in the future?
I certainly hope so. First half of the year really challenging for us, but that's the advantage of having the bye in the middle of the year. It gave us a chance to reset, and we just stripped a few things back, and we've just been really hard in the contest in the last few weeks, and that's allowed us to be in games on the scoreboard. And then and also defensively, we've been able to hold teams back, which has always been a strong suit of ours when we've played well. So, it's really pleasing to get some results for all the hard work that a pretty young group's been putting in.
And out of the 4 wins that you've had this season, where do you think this one rates?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, look, it's pretty special. We've got a lot of respect for them. Granted, they've had a pretty tough week. They've had to up and move down here because of COVID and that, but I suppose we had to do the same and go up there and play them last year, so maybe evens things out. But, that was really good. It's really pleasing we've been able to put 4 quarter performances together during the first half of the year. We always had a lapse in a game that normally cost us, so the consistency in our contest and application now, really pleasing.
And you touched on Granger Brass, who had a couple of really great one-on-one contests, and then we had Scrimshaw take a mark, but it was Tim O'Brien, I think, that everyone really got super excited about. That specky was unbelievable.
Oh, wasn't it?
Where were you on the ground, and what did you think when you saw him fly?
Yeah, I had front row seats, so I was only about 20 or 30 metres away, and yeah, it's so pleasing for Tim to get the reward. I know he's, much, what's the word? It's not maligned, but the fans get frustrated with him because he doesn't always hang on to them, but we really appreciate the effort that he puts in, and for him to get the reward today, and yeah, that specky was very special.
Well, thanks for your time, and all the best for the rest of the season.
No worries, thank you.
Well done, Jess, and thanks to Ben McAvoy, the Hawthorn captain. We just had a couple of minutes up our sleeve to squeeze that in before we departed here from the MCG. Hawthorn celebrating an 18-point win over GWS, and now for the Giants, the opportunity gone to get into the 8, and it'll be hard to force the way in with matches against Melbourne, Gold Coast, Sydney, Essendon, Port Adelaide, Geelong, Richmond and Carlton to finish the home and away season. If you're listening in South Australia, you're headed to Docklands next for Carlton and Adelaide. Nick Newman, the medical sub for the Blues, Andrew McPherson for the Crows. No late change there. Everyone else is heading to, except for News Radio listeners who are going to get the build-up to the A-League Grand Final. Everyone else is heading west, and they're underway in the second term there, the Western Bulldogs, with yet another behind. 2 goals, 9-21 to West Coast, 1-1-7 in the first term there. So wherever you're headed, enjoy the rest of your football this afternoon, whether it's to Carlton and Adelaide at Docklands. For South Australian listeners through Tassie and the Northern Territory, will take you now to coverage. Second quarter action from the west at Perth Stadium. It's the Western Bulldogs leading by 14 points over the Eagles.